across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you go. This is 90 quid Easter egg. There you go. We're going to be trying this later on. We've got about 500 Easter eggs out in the office there. And throughout the show, I'm going to eat all of them. So you're going to witness the world record chocolate consumption in the next 3 hours. No, we will be giving a bit of a taste test throughout the show. But good afternoon and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for 3 electric hours of news, views and topical debate all the way to 7 o'clock. Get on the show, get on the phone and call me on 034 4499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Good Friday, April the 3rd. Here's what's coming up. Explanations from the palace. The late Queen didn't do it every year, and even though the King did it last year, he's decided not to this time around. But the serious question remains: why isn't Charles sending his subjects an Easter message? Why is the sovereign giving it a miss as millions of British Christians struggle through these darkest of turbulent times? After all, he sent his very best wishes to the nation's Muslims for their Ramadan festival on the Christian festival of Shrove Tuesday, of all days. With all due respect, as war rages in the Middle East and its catastrophic effects hitting Britain hard, shouldn't the King send us an Easter message? Why do you think he hasn't? What does His Majesty think it looks like? Messages for Eid and Ramadan, but no message for Easter. He is, after all, the head of this state religion, Christianity, the Church of England. He should be sending us a message, don't you think? 03444 499 1000. Meanwhile, in a sinister tweet, those great guys at ISIS call on Muslims to set fire to churches and synagogues all over the world at Easter. What is wrong with these people? 03444 499 1000. Also on today's Easter special show, the creepy tweet posted by Scott Mills asking university freshers for their phone numbers, and still with the shambolic state broadcaster, departing Director General Tim Davie tells staff that rancid BBC culture will never be fixed. Would that be because it will be continued to be run by incompetent bunglers like him? 03444 499 1000. Plus, Ed Miliband climbs down, allows North Sea gas drilling and then pretends it doesn't clash with his gormless green fundamentalism. He's lying. It does. 03444 499 1000. And welcome back to the balmy world of the Brussels gang. Stupid Starmer signing us up to the EU's farcical food regulations mean that British marmalade will have to be given a new name. Citrus marmalade. This from a sclerotic body that once delivered rulings on the straightness of bananas. Great to be back in all that, isn't it? Isn't that special? 03444 499 1000. I'll show you a shock video of golf legend Tiger Woods' arrest for allegedly driving while he was drugged up. Amid his protest to the cops, he phoned Donald Trump. It's not what you know, it's who you know, isn't it? And finally, Easter eggs. We'll eat them, we'll rate them and tell you how much they cost. There's one, I've showed you the 90 quid one, there's one out there that costs £390, unbelievably. Happy Good Friday, all that and so much more, so don't go anywhere, stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Good Friday afternoon together. And let's go over to my first straight guest. My first guest. Why did I say straight then? Well, I think she is, actually. She is Talk presenter Samara Gill. Hi.
Hi, you might think that, Kev. I couldn't...
Oh, well, is there something you haven't been telling me?
I mean... Yeah, it's all a spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, I've no
idea. It comes out on live TV. No, unfortunately, I'm straight.
Yeah, I've no idea why I said straight there. You know, sometimes, you know, I just open my mouth and rubbish comes out. But you knew that. Tell us something that you didn't know. Right, no, seriously, let's get serious because, as I just said in my monologue, I think the King owes this nation an Easter message. in this particular year. The world is on the brink of global conflict. Britain is being dragged into this terrible situation in the Middle East. We are on the brink of a massive oil shortage. People are struggling, and this cost of living crisis is only going to get worse. We have a government that doesn't know what the hell it's doing. People are nervous, they're tense, they're worried. And this year of all years, the sovereign has decided not to send an Easter message to his subjects, to his Christian subjects. He is, after all, the official head of the official state religion of this country, which is the Church of England, which is a Christian religion. Buckingham Palace said, well, the Queen didn't do it every year, and although the King did it last year, he's decided not to do it this year. And yet, in February, he sent Eid and Ramadan messages to Britain's Muslim community. He sent one message out to the Muslim community, wishing them the best wishes for their festival, on Shrove Tuesday, which is a Christian festival, but he didn't mention that. It's no wonder that, for example, the former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, is referring to our monarch as the Muslim monarch of Britain. What is going on here, Samara?
Well, you know what, Kev? I think Rudy Giuliani is actually onto something. And while Giuliani might be quite severe by saying, you know, King Charles is the first Muslim king ever, there are signs that the monarch has a very keen interest in Islam, maybe more keen than we're even led to see in the public eye. I mean, just yesterday, he met with the Syrian president, al-Shara, in a very controversial visit. And then basically a few hours after that, the news comes out that he's not going to make his Easter address. I think that's fishy. I think that's suspicious. Now, I'm just alleging here. I'm not saying that any words were said. I'm not saying that the Syrian president, who does have a record of terrorism, twisted his arm, but it's very suspicious. I mean, he's had very historical speeches about his love for Islam. I've got no issue with that. But when it came to him being the defender of the faith, we know within leaked news reports that actually there were talks about him potentially being the defender of all faiths.
Well, he's very keen. He's very keen for that. He made it one of the tenets of his new sovereignty. Can I be the monarch of all faiths? No, you can't. No, you can't.
You can't.
This is what he said last year. This is what he said last year when he did send us an Easter message on Maundy Thursday. He said, on Maundy Thursday, Jesus knelt and washed the feet of many of those who would abandon him. His humble action was a token of his love that knew no bounds or boundaries and is central to Christian belief. So far, so good. Then he said the love he showed when he walked the earth reflected the Jewish ethic of caring for the stranger and those in need of deep human instinct, echoed in Islam and other religious traditions and in the hearts of all of those who seek the good of others. Well, it just seems like this guy doesn't want to talk about Christianity unless he can bring in other religions. I think given that this nation, the people of this nation, we are in a perilous state. People are worried, very worried, and quite rightly so. And I think his decision not to give us an Easter message on this of all years is a profound mistake.
It's a misstep, and I would go so far as to say it's unforgivable, Kev. I mean, this is when we need someone like the King defending this country and defending its faith. We are in, as you said, a really sort of turmoil situation at the moment with the way that the country's going, the lack of unity, the division, the polarization. And this is the King's one job. The one job is to make sure that everyone can come together under one message and one union. And all he seems to be doing is dividing people. I mean, you're right about all these statements that he keeps making and that the palace keeps making, and then they want to bring every single religion into it. Where was Prince William when Aston Villa had that massive issue whereby Jews were banned? I mean, that's his own football team, yet we didn't hear a peep from the palace about that. I tend to think if the shoe was on the other foot and if Muslims were banned from participating in a particular football game, then the palace probably would make a statement looking at how their track record is scoring. I mean, let's just think about Prince Charles. You know, there was a story that came out a couple years ago whereby £3 million in cash bags from a Qatari politician, according to a report. However, Clarence House did comment that the money was passed immediately to one of the prince's charities. So they basically confirmed that.
Yeah.
But it came from the Qatari government in a couple of Fortnum and Mason bags, which is a little bit suspicious. I mean, there are questions to be asked here about who the king is aligning himself with, because he's revealing himself a little too clearly.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the king walking around with the carrier bags full of cash, that was not a good look. And as you say, extraordinarily, it was confirmed. He should never have done this. You know, generally speaking, I think the king has got good judgment, but man, he has his moments where that good judgment just disappears. And I think his good judgment about Easter this year has disappeared. Rudy Giuliani, the former New York mayor, was talking to Piers Morgan Uncensored about this. Let's have a quick look at that.
I have people from England telling me you're going to be a Muslim country in 10 years. I mean, the Anglican Church, the Roman Catholic Church is bigger in England now than the Anglican Church. And Charles III might be the Muslim monarch of England. I mean, they're taking over, and they want to take over, and it's their aim. And Iran is the fuel behind that.
Well, strong words from Rudy there, but you know, there is a feeling, isn't there, that somehow or other, you know, this Islamification of Britain that so many people are worried about, the king looks to be. The image is that the king looks to be a part of that, with this neglecting to send the nation an Easter message. He really should have done that. I can't believe he hasn't done it.
You're right, and I think the key point is the neglect. You know, I actually don't have an issue with the king even sort of putting out an Eid message or however he wants to do that, because the fact of the matter is that we have millions of Muslim people in the United Kingdom now, and that's just sort of part and parcel, as well as there being royal families within those Muslim countries that he might want to appease. Got no issue with that. Where I do find issue is that you're right. He's completely neglecting the people of Britain, the people who are Christian, the Church of England, by which this country is governed in some sort of way. And I think that to toss that by the wayside, but then to find time to do Eid messages is a double standard. And I don't think it should go across unchecked. And yeah, I mean, the royal family coming out with this limp message of, oh, the Queen never did it. Well, that just doesn't ring true. You know, the Queen did many other things to unify the nation.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, I've already got messages pouring in on this. This is Leanne. It is an absolute disgrace that the King hasn't prepared an Easter message. The British public and our values mean nothing in this country anymore. And we're being shown this every day by our leaders. And then she says, have a great Easter. Thank you, Leanne. Joanna in Salisbury says, we are a Christian country. The king is head of the church. But in his coronation, he changed the words to defender of the faiths. Should be defender of the faith, plural. The reason the king has not given an Easter message is it offends the Muslim religion, allowing it to be prioritised over the indigenous Christian religion. That's what Joanna is saying. That's a taste of the feeling that's got a lot of people extremely angry about this. And if he must pursue this fatuous dream, in my view, to be the leader of all the faiths, well, fine. You know, as you say, by all means, wish our Muslim community all the best at Eid and Ramadan, but don't exclude the Christians, because it seems like he wants to be the leader of all the faiths, but not Christianity. That's what that looks like. It's just not right. While we're on the topic...
also, just FYI, you know, I wouldn't mind if his health was in a horrible state. or anything like that. But I just want to finish this by saying the man met with the Syrian president, as I said yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's up and well. He's doing commitments. Why can he not make a 30-second video?
Yeah, and just about
I don't know.
And just about to go to America on a state tour. We sympathise with his brave battle against cancer, but he is not unable to perform his functions. So he should have sent us a message. Let me know, folks, what do you think? Should the king have sent us, his British subjects, his Christian British subjects, a message at Easter? 03444991000. Stay where you are, Samara. We'll come back to you after these messages.
Good morning to you. This is Tour de Home of Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Just breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. Not just that the police have arrived at the Sandringham estate where Prince Andrew, as was now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently living since being thrown out of the Windsor estate. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation. And certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files was released in the last few weeks. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Samara Gill is still with me. Hey, Samara, got a tweet message here from one of our lucky, happy viewers. Bring back Kev and Samara.
Well, we have been brought back. We are in the next segment.
And who knows what the future might bring.
Ooh, indeed. We're conspiring, aren't we?
Everybody, watch this space. Now, look, let's talk about our friend Scott Mills, the BBC guy who's had a very bad week to say the least. Now, I want to talk about a tweet that he put out. He put out on Twitter. Now, this was in 2013 when I believe he was on Radio 1 DJ. This is the tweet. We'll put it up if you're watching on TV, but I'll read it out if you're not. Scott Mills, are you a fresher that has a gullible parent? Email me, scott.mills@bbc.co.uk now with your name and phone number. I may call you back. What is that all about?
It's just sick, isn't it, Kev?
It's creepy, isn't it?
Yeah, with hindsight in play. I mean, it's sort of, you just don't want to think about what the motivations were behind that tweet. I mean, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he was just running a segment about that, and he was trying to obviously get young people involved who are disenfranchised with their parents. But it's time and time again you get things brought up like this. I mean, when the Philip Schofield scandal was going around, you know, photos were brought up of him having dinners and lunches with this underage child, and no one said a thing, you know, while this person was a runner and he was the host, or while this person was actually still doing work experience and he was hosting this morning. I'm obviously talking about Philip Schofield here, just if anyone's just tuned in, but it's quite sickening to think that that could have gone on. And looking at what Tim Davies now been saying, the information that he's drip feeding us, we start to think, okay, so did stuff go on while he was working at the BBC on the taxpayer dime?
Exactly right. So, I mean, let me know, folks. So what do you make of that very creepy tweet from Scott Mills back in 2013, 13 years ago? I think he was on Radio 1, then top Radio 1 DJ, asking for the phone numbers of freshers, university freshers. As Samara said, he might say it was part of a feature, but I think that is a bit strange, don't you? 0344 499 1000. By the way, we're learning this on the day that his shame is now complete, because a bridge over the M3 motorway is named after Scott Mills, some sort of stupid thing he had going on his show. And so the nearby service station put a plaque on the wall saying that is the Scott Mills Bridge. Anyway, that plaque has now been taken down, so his shame and disgrace is complete. Meanwhile, the departing Director General, the keystone cop of broadcasting executorship, Tim Davie, a man who has presided over scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. That's all he's ever done is firefight. He is the man who screwed up the Hugh Edwards affair and now seems to have screwed up the Scott Mills affair as well. But his parting message to staff yesterday was BBC culture will never be fixed. And what he means by that is rancid BBC culture will never be fixed. I must admit, I kind of agree with him, but that isn't a very encouraging message to give to those of us who have to pay £175 a year for the state broadcaster. We pay £175 a year for a broadcaster with a rancid culture that the departing Director General says will never be fixed. That's not very good, is it?
It's like, and now you tell us, Tim. All right, thank you. Okay, thanks for the admission of guilt on your parting sort of foray out of the building. I mean, now you tell us that the culture that you presided over actually can't be fixed, and all these things that you promised us to do when you came in actually couldn't be done. And I think it'll be interesting, because I think he'll come out with more comments like this as the years go on, and I think he probably knows where some of the skeletons in the closet are and what's actually been going on at the BBC, and maybe we'll find out other things as time progresses. But yeah, when you look at the quote, he goes, if you have come in and behave in a way that some of this industry saw 20 years ago, it just would not be acceptable. You want to create an environment where it's just ludicrous to do that. I mean, okay. He said that he was trying to act fairly, let's just remember why Tim Davies had to leave in the first place. Because
he's going in scandal, isn't he? He's going in disgrace, yeah.
Exactly. He's not just walking out of the building, oh, thanks, guys, my time's up, my tenure's done. No, it's because he presided over such a left-wing extreme culture that people who worked under him felt that it was okay to edit a video of Trump to make it look like Trump was inciting violence, which then eventuated in a lawsuit which could end the BBC for good. So Tim Davies not leaving unchanged from this situation, and it's a bit rich of him to come out with these comments on his last day of work. And
it's extremely encouraging, a real morale booster for his successor, this guy Matt Britton from Google. Oh, by the way, I'm leaving. My entire tenure, I've been dealing with, Greg Wallace, John Turode, Hugh Edwards. The list goes on. And, of course, Donald Trump. So we've got a rancid culture here, Matt. Good luck with the job, but that culture will never be fixed. Off you go. Real morale booster for the new Director General, all right?
Well, that's exactly what it is, I've got a lot of faith in Matt Britton. I hope that what he can...
I haven't. Why have you got faith in him?
I think because he actually comes from a corporate background.
He's a director of the Guardian newspaper.
I know he is. I've read up on his background.
Yeah, so you can stick your confidence where the sun don't shine, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, let's just say a lot of people who used to come in contact with ruling the BBC had no real experience in the corporate world.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Profits, things that aren't working need to be cut. Maybe, by the way, this is me acting with the most optimistic eye I've probably ever had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, you've changed.
Well, anything's better than the current leadership. That's for sure.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. At least Matt Britton is that rare thing in the BBC. He's worked somewhere else.
Ooh, yeah, exactly.
Also, he's worked at the very highest level, working for Google all over the world. As you say, optimistically, this could be the guy who can bring the BBC kicking and screaming into the 21st century, because it still looks like a sclerotic, old-school organisation that can't deal with the modern media age. This guy might help them in that respect, but he's also got to learn, as Tim Davie had to learn, that when you're the Director General, you have to be a constant firefighter, scandal after scandal after scandal. And they've screwed up this Scott Mills, because his other statement, old Tim Davie, as he left, was Scott Mills were all very, very shocked, but it was clear he had to go. Well, why? Why was it clear he had to go? The BBC still hasn't told us that, and that proves that even though Tim Davie should have been extremely experienced in dealing with paedophile scandals by the time Scott Mills came along, I'm talking about Jimmy Savile, I'm talking about Rolf Harris, I'm talking about Stuart Hall, I'm talking about Hugh Edwards. He still didn't know what to do, and they're still keeping us in the dark, and the BBC is still taking our money and outrageously keeping secrets from us. And what Matt Britton has to do is to bring down this wall of secrecy and make the BBC a lot more of a transparent organisation.
Totally. I mean, they are basically in some way an arm of government because we pay them. And meaning that's how you should look at it. Everything needs to be transparent because they live on the taxpayer dime. And I do really think you're right. It's this dubious nature of how they've been handling all their scandals that has really enraged the public. They need to tell us things. And Tim Davies' comments, again, making it very vague. So then we jump to the worst of the worst conclusion about why Scott Mills was sacked. And that's not good for anyone in any situation. And, Matt Britton, the only reason I really am positive about it is because there are rumors that he actually might scrap the license fee and introduce more of a subscription model. These are just rumors. I have no idea if they will actually come to fruition. But if we did a subscription model, then potentially they might actually start producing things that people want to watch.
Yeah, exactly right. We should wish Matt Britton all the best, and I like the look of him, apart from the fact that he was a director on the Guardian newspaper. So the fear is he's just going to be another woke BBC lefty. But let's wish him all the best. But he's got to do something about the culture of the BBC. He's got to make it more transparent, and he's got to make it an organisation that isn't run by someone who says things like, "It was clear Scott Mills had to go." Well, it's not clear to us because you haven't told us. It's an outrage, so he's got to change that. Right, I'm going to read you a message before you go. Thank you so much for joining us, by the way. This is from Kieran. Tell Samara she is the most beautiful girl in the world. How much did you pay him? Do you know it? You know him, don't you? Did you send him a cheque?
Thank you, Karen. I feel so ill and under the weather today, but you know, I cannot say no to Mr. Kevin O'Sullivan. That's my sort of...
No women ever can. And by the way, the good news to Kieran, who says that you're the most beautiful girl in the world, the good news, Kieran, is she's the most beautiful girl in the world, and better than that, she's straight.
No, I'm a lesbian, Kevin. I thought we established that.
No. We established at the start of the show that you're straight, you see. So I thought that was an important issue to get into right at the outset. No, seriously, Samara, great to have you on the show. Have a lovely Easter, and we'll talk next week. Samara Gill, the brilliant talk presenter and reporter there. Let me know what you think about the King. The King should be giving us an Easter message, shouldn't he? What's he thinking of? How does he think it looks when he gives a message for Eid, Ramadan to the Muslims? I've got nothing against that, by the way. But I do start to get a bit upset when he gives a message to Eid about Eid and Ramadan on Shrove Tuesday, doesn't mention it's a Christian festival, and then doesn't give Christians in this country a message at Easter. That's what upsets me. So do you agree with me? 0344 499 1000. I think this is the worst mistake he's made. And I'm not knocking the King, you know, I think he's basically a decent guy, a bit woke, a bit greeny and all that, but, you know, he's an all right guy. But he's made a mistake here. Well, in my view, do you agree? 0344 499 1000. Talking of mistakes, when we come back, we'll talk about Ed Miliband. Ed Miliband's caving in about drilling for gas in the North Sea. Says it doesn't clash with his fundamental green beliefs about climate change. Yes, it does. He's lying again. We'll talk about that in just a second. Stay where you are.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Crazy Ed Miliband, our Nut Zero secretary, has caved in. Great calls for this mad Labour government to start drilling again in the North Sea, oil and gas, because they're about to, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. We're on the brink of possibly the worst oil shortage, worst energy shortage, and gas as well, of all time. I mean, the effects of this could be catastrophic, and we need to start drilling for our own energy in the North Sea. We ought to start thinking about fracking as well. At the moment, most of the North Sea energy we buy from Norway, which drills the same gas and oil fields, but we don't, because we've got to save the planet. Welcome to the wonderful, totally deranged world of Crazy Ed Miliband. But he has climbed down, and he's going to allow drilling on the Jackdaw gas field, which is 150 miles off the coast of Aberdeen, for about 2 years, apparently. He says this doesn't clash with his climate change fundamentalism. It does. He's lying again. Let's speak to columnist at The Sun, Spectator, Daily Mail, and author of Not Zero, Ross Clark. Hi, Ross.
Hi, Kevin.
Happy Easter to you.
And to you.
He's lying again, isn't he? What's happened here is he's been saying no, no, no. He's been saying for the last few turbulent weeks with the Middle Eastern war, now is not the time to climb down, to buckle on our commitment to renewables. Now is the time to double down on them. But even people like Rachel Reeves have been saying, Ed, we can't go on like this. We're going to have to start drilling for gas and oil in the North Sea. And he has now conceded that drilling will begin now in the Jackdaw gas field, 150 miles off the coast of Aberdeen. There's a lot more out there that we should be drilling, but he says, no, this isn't me compromising my principles. This doesn't clash with my green views at all. He's lying again, isn't he?
Yeah, well, this has been coming for weeks. He's been increasingly isolated on this issue. As on Wednesday, Rachel Reeves made her position clear. Even Renewable UK, which represents the wind and solar industries, has been saying for several weeks that we should be drilling more in the North Sea, and it just makes no sense to run down our own North Sea industry and then import gas and oil from Norway and so on instead. But I think probably the final straw was when the SNP yesterday flipped and said, well, they were in favour of renewed drilling in the North Sea, particularly Jackdaw and Rosebank fields. And of course, we've got the Scottish Parliament elections, local elections coming up in a few weeks' time. Labour were going to look in a very, very bad place, as if they were anti the jobs in the Scottish oil and gas industry. So I think Ed Miliband has had his arm twisted and has been told by the Prime Minister, I suspect, that he's got to allow this. So Jackdaw field, by the way, could already have been producing 6% of our gas production from the North Sea. It was granted a licence by Rishi Sunak's government, but it was then overturned in the courts. The Greenpeace and another environmental pressure group took it to court and said, look, this is not it's not consistent with your net zero, legally binding net zero target, and basically said the license was unlawful. So it was then sort of put back in Ed Miliband's he's not backing down on the Rosebank gas field, which contains a lot of oil as well as gas. That would be extremely important to the people of this country. As you say, the Jackdaw gas field will supply millions of homes, but the Rosebank could supply even more. But he says that if we reopen drilling at Rosebank,
that would be I'm quoting now, an act of climate vandalism. Ross, how did we end up in the insane hands of this utter lunatic? It's just breathtaking.
Yeah, well, sadly, we're not just in the hands of Ed Miliband. The trouble is, the fundamental problem with this net zero target by 2050 as a legally binding target has put us in the hands of all these environmental pressure groups. And the closer we get to 2050, the more they will take government to court and say, look, you know, whenever any government wants to undertake any infrastructure project, they will say, look, this is not consistent with net zero by 2050. And the trouble is they will win because, you know, you can't say building a new runway is compatible with net zero by 2050. You can't say building new roads or even high-speed rail lines is consistent with net zero by 2050. So, you know, the problem here is not just Ed Miliband. He is a problem, but not just Ed Miliband. A fundamental problem is this 2050 net zero target. So long as that remains in place, we will not have a reasoned and sensible energy policy.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I'm just looking at footage. I'm not very interested in the Artemis moonshot at all. I'm of a generation, we've seen all this stuff before, only better. In my day, they actually used to land on the moon. So I'm glad that Generation Z is enjoying this repeat show of space travel, but I'm not. But anyway, I looked at the takeoff. And the amount of carbon emissions coming out of that rocket must have given Ed Miliband nightmares. There's another area where climate change concerns don't really come to the fore, do they? Space travel.
No, but come on, it's worth it, isn't it? Look what we got out of this mission. This missing clanger has turned up after 50 years. So
exactly.
Yeah, you can't do space travel without vast quantities of carbon emissions, as you can see. We can't do air travel without, you know, there is no commercial alternative to jet engine at the moment for, you know, long distance air travel. You can you know, maybe electric planes, they can do the sort of short hop from, you know, out to Scottish Islands and so on. But electric planes are not going to take over from jet airliners, and nor are hydrogen planes or any other solution. The only thing that we've got that you can possibly argue is carbon neutral is you know, use vegetable oil and Virgin Atlantic. You remember, sort of.
Yeah, I heard
there are only so many chip shops in the world, and they're not enough to feed the voracious appetite of the airline industry.
Well, I heard someone praising that other green fanatic, King Charles, because he's got his big old Aston Martin, I think it is, or something, and he's converted the engine to run on very, very green used vegetable oil. And you go, oh, that's amazing. What a great gesture towards climate change that is. And it turns out that to convert the engine to run on this used vegetable oil costs something like £50,000. So that was a privilege only afforded to the very rich, like King Charles. And, you know, to go back to, you know, the fantasy world that people like Ed Miliband live in, that we can very soon exist in this country purely on windmills and solar panels. It's absolutely not true. It's totally a lie. We will always need fossil fuels. But people like Ed Miliband and those lunatics from Just Stop Oil, well, I've got a message for them. They are just about to just stop oil in the Hormuz Strait, in the Strait of Hormuz. And they'll find out what a world without oil is like. Everywhere you look, I mean, look at that. We look at my computer, plastic, everywhere you look. You know, the moisturiser you put on in the morning and so on and so forth. Everywhere you look, we are reliant on oil. And Ed Miliband's and his fellow fanatics' contention that we can have a world without fossil fuels it's for the birds. And it's, you know, I don't mind those crazy lunatics from Just Stop Oil climbing up Dartford Bridge or whatever the hell they do. They don't matter because they don't have any power. Ed Miliband is the same as them, and he's our cabinet secretary for energy. That is terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, to put it in the wider context, 5% of our overall energy demand at the moment is met by wind and solar. 75% is fossil fuels. I mean, that's how far away we are from the nirvana of clean energy being able to sort of power everything. And not only that, I mean, it's very much in Ed Miliband has this sort of self-imposed target of decarbonising the national grid by 2030. But I mean, he admits that we will still need gas as a backup for the windmills after that date. So
it'll be more than a backup, though, won't it, Ross? It won't.
His 100% target has actually subtly come down to a 95%.
Yeah, and it's going to keep dropping as well. Ross, great to have you on the show as always. Thank you so much for your time. Ross Clark there, columnist at The Sun, author of a great book called Not Zero. Ed Miliband, he's driving this nation to hell in a handcart. He is wrecking our economy. He's going to make us bankrupt, and he's making us all poorer due to his crazy evangelism about this green claptrap. That's why we've got the highest energy bills in the world. It's a disgrace. 0344 499 1000. When we come back, let's talk about the Easter holiday woodland retreat for newly arrived migrants, illegal migrants, and their Easter holiday woodland retreat given to them by middle-class virtue signallers. That'll be fun. We'll talk about that next.
Good morning to you. This is Toward the Home of Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Just breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. Not just that the police have arrived at the Sandringham estate where Prince Andrew, as was now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently living since being thrown out of the Windsor estate. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation. And certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files has released in the last few weeks. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. If you go down to the woods today, the good news is you won't see a wilderness retreat weekend, a special holiday retreat for newly arrived illegal migrants. Virtue signallers down in East Sussex near the town, the benighted town of Crowborough, where 540 asylum seekers, male asylum seekers, are being billeted in a former army training camp. Big protests there still every weekend. These virtue signallers who run a wilderness retreat in the nearby woods were planning to allow a load of these migrants to go there to spend a weekend learning how to deal with their new environment, to give them practical and emotional support to help them adjust to living in the UK. Let's speak to Harry Phibbs, a journalist at Conservative Home. Yeah, Harry, the good news is that local residents who have had enough hard time lately because they've got 540 male migrants being billeted in their local army centre, the same residents go, no, you can't give them a nice Easter holiday weekend learning how to support themselves in this new country. That's taking it too far, and so the organisers have called it off. But I think it plays into the problem we have with our migrant crisis. It is this. There are too many Guardian-reading, middle-class virtue signallers who want to say, you know, migrants welcome, come all in, come, refugees welcome here, and so on and so forth. Whereas we should be sending a message, you're not welcome here. You came here illegally. And the best thing to do would be to say that we'll send you back. We're unlikely to do that. But don't start giving them free holidays in the woods for Easter, right?
I agree. I'm not sure how much these strapping young chaps would have particularly appreciated to get the sort of the woodland fun. It sounds a bit namby-pamby, but it's yet another signal, isn't it, that we're a soft touch and everyone come in and we're welcome. And then the critics would say, oh, this is, don't be mean-spirited, we should be generous, and we should be concerned about people who are facing persecution. Well, yes, but there's a simple distinction, isn't there, that if, Kevin, you were to invite your neighbours round for a drink and you were to be a generous host, then that would be a very good thing. But there's a difference between you expecting to put up with people coming uninvited, coming and squatting in your home, and that's a straightforward point that people don't seem to grasp. These are people who have come here illegally from safe countries, mostly from France. It's quite different to the proud history we've had of choosing to allow in people in a manageable number who are genuine refugees, have genuinely faced persecution, and we've been doing that, of course, for centuries. The Huguenots, the Jews, the Poles after the war when Poland went communist, the Ugandan Asians, the Vietnamese boat people, and where there's been the Nazis or the communists or Islamist dictatorship or some madman like Idi Amin, we've been sympathetic and we've chosen to let in people in manageable numbers where we can, and often they've repaid our hospitality very well. They've been hardworking and enterprising and law-abiding. What we've got now is completely different situation. Yeah, it's completely different to what we've done in the past.
I mean, the refrain of these people, these virtue signalling middle-class Guardian readers, is say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. Well, if you're a refugee fleeing war and torture, then yeah, you are. But what they're talking about down in Crowborough, down at this place, Wilderness Wood, the retreat, is say it loud, say it clear, illegal migrants are welcome here. Well, actually, illegal migrants are not welcome here, and this does not help. And you remember at Crowborough, the local council, there was this one councillor on Valentine's Day said that she took her 3 grandchildren to the army training centre where there are these young male illegal migrants being billeted, to give them Valentine's cards from these little kids. I mean, that's the sort of attitude that is infuriating. I mean, that doesn't help at all. We should not be, I don't think we should be cruel or inhuman to these people, but we should not be welcoming them with Valentine cards and lovely retreat weekends in the woods.
It should be very clear that anybody who comes here illegally is not able to stay. They should be detained and deported. Then, once that's established, then we can discuss how many refugees we should allow in, that we can choose to have, that we can manage, and we can then discuss how generous we can afford to be. What we can't have is anybody. It needs to be a really clear message that we can't have anybody coming here illegally and being allowed to stay. But the hypocrisy is absurd. I was walking through Islington the other day, very wealthy street.
Never an advisable thing to do.
Somebody put up a poster in their window. This house probably worth sort of £2 million or something, saying refugees welcome. I wondered if actually any refugees knocked on the door, how welcome they would be.
Yeah.
It is
refugees welcome, but not actually here.
it is pure virtue signaling.
Yeah, it's halo polishing. Aren't we wonderful? And that's because it doesn't really affect them. The people of Crowborough, good people of Crowborough, they just, funnily enough, there are women and children who live there. They're a little bit concerned about the idea of 540 undocumented male migrants between the age of 16 and 34 being dumped in their community with nothing to do all day. They're a bit worried about that. And these middle-class people who say, well, if you're worried about having migrants in your midst, you're a racist, you're a fascist. That is just puerile. It is puerile. And offering them lovely Easter weekend retreats in the woods just adds to that absurdity. It really does. Harry, good to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Harry Phibbs there, journalist from Conservative Home. Let me know what you think about that. As I say, common sense prevailed in the end and this was called off. But why would you do that? Why would you do? Oh, please come and have a weekend retreat in the woods, we'll teach you deal with your emotional and practical problems adjusting to your new life in the UK. They came here illegally. 0344 499 1000. We'll talk to Philip Kisley after the news with all the big stories. That next, stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's Very Good Friday here on Talk. Very happy Easter to you all. That's my Easter message to you. Shame the King couldn't send us an Easter message, isn't it? What's he playing at? Why isn't the King giving this nation an Easter message? Let's spend the next half an hour or so in the excellent company of a senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kisley. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Kev, and a happy Easter to everyone. That's my Easter message. So there's two
I've sent one,
there.
you've sent one. I'll tell you what
yeah.
Easter message is conspicuous by its absence. That is King Charles's Easter message. To be serious now, I think this is a massive mistake. In February, he sent a Ramadan message. He sent messages for Eid. He sent his Ramadan, wishing the Muslims my very best wishes for the festival of Ramadan, etc., etc. He sent that message in February on Shrove Tuesday. He didn't mention that he was sending that message on the day of a very special Christian festival. Didn't mention that. And he sent a message to us last year, to the nation. He has decided not to send one this year. The reason being, or the Buckingham Palace is giving us excuses, saying, well, Her late great Majesty the Queen you only did it irregularly. Sometimes she would send one, sometimes she wouldn't. Fair enough. Now the King last year did send a message, but he has decided this year not to. Now, I would contend that with the state of the world and the state of the nation and how worried and tense people are in this country, that an Easter message, this premier Christian festival of the year, an Easter message from our sovereign would be just what the doctor ordered. And yet he's decided not to. But let me just read to you before I get your thoughts, Sir Philip. He did send us a message last year, and this is what he said. On Maundy Thursday, Jesus knelt and washed the feet of many of those who would abandon him. His humble action was a token of his love that knew no bounds or boundaries and is central to Christian belief. So far, so good. Then he went on to say, the love he showed, that's Jesus, the love he showed when he walked the earth, ready, reflected the Jewish ethic of caring for the stranger and those in need, a deep human instinct echoed in Islam and other religious traditions in the hearts of all those who seek the good of others. Now, this is a king, when he was crowned at the coronation, he changed the text. He wanted to say that he was the leader, not of the faith. Yeah. He wanted to put it in the plural, and he did. The leader of all the faiths. Well, fair enough. I don't mind him giving a goodwill message to Muslims or any other religion on their special occasions. But I do mind if he's going to do that and then omit to send Christians a message at Easter. What do you think he's playing at?
It feels like it's an act of kind of self-negation. And it's removing the faith, because we are a Christian country, and it's putting something else in its place, which is a kind of mushy interculturalism, which privileges everything else apart from Christianity. Christianity is at the sidelines. Christianity is marginalized, where the other faiths, particularly Islam, is front and center, and this is on our own celebrations. So it's almost as though there's an embarrassment. They just want to get beyond it. They want to get past it because there are other things that are more important. And I would suggest that absolutely is not the case. I can't remember a time in my adult life when there has been an appetite for our identity as a Christian nation as there is now. I think something is happening out there, and people are looking to who and what they are, and they are looking to their heritage, they are looking to their culture. And Christianity, for the first time in a long time, I don't know what you feel about this, I don't know if you feel the same, but the first time in a long time, I feel it from what people say to me. They want to know about their Christian past, they want to know about their Christian identity for very obvious reasons, because it is is and the culture is very much under attack.
Absolutely. Now, Piers Morgan, on his show Piers Morgan Uncensored, spoke to the former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, and the topic on the table was the Islamification of Britain. And what I would say is that whatever you feel about this, and of course the lefties always say to us, don't be ridiculous, or Islamification, oh, no, no, no. Well, those who fear that this country is becoming Islamified, when they see the king sending heartfelt messages to the Muslim community on Ramadan and Eid, but not sending any messages to the Christian community, as in the vast majority of people in Britain and as in the official religion of this country, when they see him not sending a message to them but sending a message to Muslims, you can understand why people might say this Islamification thing, there's something in it. Now, this is Rudy Giuliani talking to Piers Morgan.
I have people from England telling me you're going to be a Muslim country in 10 years. I mean, the Anglican Church, the Roman Catholic Church is bigger in England now than the Anglican Church, and Charles III might be the Muslim monarch of England. I mean, they're taking over, and they want to take over, and it's their aim, and Iran is the fuel behind that.
Yeah, so he used the term there, Muslim monarch. Now, you might say, well, that's a bit extreme. And then, as I just said, well, he just hasn't sent us a message at Easter. Now, you know, the palace, as I say, they say, well, we don't do this every year as a matter of course. The Queen did it sometimes she didn't. The King did it last year. He didn't do it this year. Yeah, but what he did do this year was send a message to Muslims for their festival. This is at the very least, Philip, this is not a good look.
No, it's not a good look, and you've got to contextualise it with what else that is happening right at the moment. Don't forget, just when was it, last week or the week before, we had prayers in Trafalgar Square, didn't we? And the content of those Muslim prayers was negating Christianity and negating other religions. So there is a sense that, and we see. We see a rise in terrorism, we see a rise in anti-Semitism, we see a rise in radicalism. That is very much evident in the most dangerous demographic of young men between 16 and 35. So there is something going on here, which is political Islam as well as spiritual Islam. And you have to say that the Islamism is a kind of conquering aspect. Yeah. There's also, it's framed in a broader asymmetric multiculturalism, which I keep coming back to, where the cultural elite in this country wants to kind of wipe out our own identity. It's almost as though they're, as I say, they're embarrassed by it. They want to privilege other identities. And, you know, the kind of Islamism we have in this country, it's not all Muslims, but the young, very aggressive, and it has to be said, violent Islamists in this country will just run with that and want to potentially want to culturally conquer us.
Totally right. And you would have thought also another reason that I think giving the nation a Easter message, the King doing that this year, would have been quite important, because we do have a brand new Archbishop of Canterbury. Yep. So once again, that seems to me a new Archbishop of Canterbury. The King is the head, the official head of the Church of England Church, not giving an Easter message to the nation, days after the investiture of the Archbishop of Canterbury, it seems to be almost an abrogation of his constitutional duty.
It does indeed, but it isn't just the King, it's the Church of England itself. And I've spoken to quite a few people about this. And the one key thing that is keeping people out of churches, again, I get this appetite for Christianity, this appetite for the spiritual, to, in this chaotic political world, to commune with something bigger than oneself. But the one thing and there's a beautiful 18th century church just right there across from my window. And the one thing that is keeping people out of churches is actually the Church of England, because when you go into churches, what you get is LGBTQI plus identity politics. You get the climate emergency, and you get Gaza. I know, because I've had it there. Okay. So what people don't want is this kind of new quasi-religion, which is cuckooing and overtaking our tradition traditional religion. We don't want identity politics. We don't want the cult of identity politics. We want Christianity. Now, the thing is, Muslims take their faith seriously, and we don't in our culture. And that is going to be a massive problem for us going forward, because we've kind of turned into a secular culture. And my past over the 20 or 30 years has been totally secular, as I'm sure yours has. Yeah. But something is happening in this country because we have a very aggressive religion asserting itself, and our response to that, we need to wake up spiritually.
Yeah, I think we must. Not everybody, of course, but a lot of people in this country, their attitude to the church, to religion, to Christianity is shoulder shrugging, agnostic at best. Oh yeah, I believe in God. Yeah, big on the church. Do you ever go to church? No, I go to the pub on Sundays. That's tends to be our attitude, and I think that might be one of the areas where there is a kind of mutual suspicion, because Muslims tend to be very devout and we don't. It's as simple as that. But let me ask you about this. This probably feeds into this cultural divide I'm talking about. And this is what we have to deal with. ISIS put out tweets today calling on Muslims all over the world to set fire to we put this tweet up if you're watching on TV. It's called on Muslims to set fire to churches and synagogues all over the world on Easter weekend. The ISIS has called for attacks in America, Europe, Russia, the United Arab Emirates, Syria, Tunisia and Morocco. This is ostensibly in response to the closure of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. But ISIS is calling on Muslims all over the world to set fire to churches and synagogues. What is wrong with these people?
It's great, isn't it? That's what you want. I look at as I say, I look at this church here, and I wonder when some absolute lunatic is going to blow it to smithereens in the name of global jihad. How great we've got in this culture and globally. It doesn't mention Britain there, of course, but of course we're going to get it because, as I said before, we have young Muslim men who are much more radicalized, massively radicalized, in comparison to their parents and their grandparents who weren't radicalized at all. So what's going on here? We need to have this conversation. And the one thing we're not allowed to do, at least in public, is to have a deep dive into that conversation and try to understand what's going on. And I look at the culture and I spend time, outside walking in the towns and stuff, and you do feel as though there is this menace, there is this sense of us and them, and I don't want it to be like that. You don't want it to be like that, but it does feel like that. What have we had? Look, we've had 30 years of mass immigration. We've had a multiculturalism that nobody voted for. And now we've got the vibrancy of our places of worship exploding by crazy jihadists. Yeah. So we do need to have a sense of honesty about this and say, look, we're in crisis. We can't just hide behind words like Islamophobia. We need to pull it apart and find out what's happening, because all of the research tells us that this is going to get worse. Places like Policy Exchange and all of those think tanks are telling us that this divide is going to get worse. So what do we do about it? And the thing we shouldn't do is just be self-effacing like Prince Charles and try to kind of obliterate our own identity. I think we should stand firm and say, look, this is who we are and we will not stand for it. We want a pluralistic, forgiving society, but we will not be walked over. And this is Britain, the West, and you treat it like that.
Yeah, there's two final things I would say about this. Even when he did give us an Easter message last Thursday, the King, he couldn't get through it. His message to Christians couldn't get through it without paying tribute to Judaism and Islam.
Yeah,
so he just can't bring himself to just send a message to Christians. He's the head of a Christian church, the Church of England. So there's a problem there. And I think what we're just talking about with that ISIS message, it is that kind of fanaticism about their religion that I think British people find so alien, and therefore we have this cultural divide by people whose... There's nothing wrong with it. Of course, it's a good thing, I guess, when Muslims are very devout. But that devotion can spill over into this kind of sinister fanaticism. And I think that people in Britain, they find that alien and suspicious and worrying.
Yeah.
So we have an ongoing problem here. Listen, let me move on, though, Philip. Well, actually, I better go to break, and we'll come back to you with a couple of other serious stories to talk to you about. There's breaking news on Ed Miliband and North Sea oil and gas drilling. So we'll talk about that next.
Good morning to you. This is Tour de Home and Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Just breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. Not just that the police have arrived at the Sandringham estate where Prince Andrew, as was now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently living since being thrown out of the Windsor estate. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation. And certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files was released in the last few weeks. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Philip Kisley from the New Culture Forum. Philip, I need to talk to you about the EU in just a little while. Did you know that because Keir Starmer has signed us up to the Brussels gang's stupid food regulations, this is not a joke. You might have thought I would be saying this 2 days ago on April Fool's Day. British marmalade, traditional British marmalade, will have to be renamed citrus marmalade. We'll talk about that in just a little while, but this is breaking news. I've just been covering the story that Ed Miliband has been forced into a climb down as he's about to give the green light to more drilling in the Jackdaw gas field. So he is going to allow some drilling on North Sea oil and gas, but he's under intense pressure because of the Iran war energy crisis to also allow drilling in the larger Rosebank oil and gas field. I think it's mainly gas. And he's apparently today put his foot down on that. He's called such a project to be climate change vandalism, climate vandalism. So this is the news. Ed Miliband is now expected to block fresh oil drilling in the North Sea despite growing pressure to resume production to combat the energy crisis sparked by the Iran war. The Energy Secretary is understood to be resisting the development of Rosebank, the UK's largest untapped oil field, estimated to contain up to 300 million barrels of oil. He is against new drilling licenses despite concerns over impending fuel shortages, surging oil prices and diminishing stocks. Yes, he says that if we start drilling in the Rosebank field, then that will be climate vandalism. This is evangelical madness. Yeah. This is about the welfare of the British people. This is beginning to look like outright cruelty on the part of this guy, isn't it?
Well, it's not engaging with reality in any shape or form, and what it is, it's sabotage, isn't it? It's self-sabotage. He's sabotaging the British people. Fuel prices are obviously going to go through the roof. That's going to trigger a recession, all because of this obsession with climate. And you see it, you know, once this cult-like behavior grips these people, and it's the same in young people, but he's exactly the same. It's a similar kind of person. I've seen it all through my career. They're terrified. They're worried sick about what's going to happen in 500 years' time. But they couldn't give a toss about what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's this kind of dissonance, you know, this cognitive dissonance, which doesn't allow them to deal with everyday reality. And it like I say, it's a kind of cultish behavior. Now, it's one thing to have it in people, you know, throwing orange paint and being obsessed in that kind of way, the Jonties and Jemimas of this world. When it's him, and our own future depends on the decisions that he makes, it's frankly terrifying. Now, it's not just where he is now, it's where he might be in the future. In other words, after the May elections, this idiot might be the Prime Minister.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, idiot is the word. He's as I say, he's a fanatic. He's a fundamentalist.
Yeah, he's fanatic. That's precisely the word.
He's a fundamentalist fool. Now, we had better hope that the rumours that America may well bomb the hell out of the Strait of Hormuz and put boots on the ground there in order to reopen that narrow stretch of water through which 20% of the world's oil comes on cargo ships, and through which 20% of our oil comes. Ed Miliband better hope that those rumours are true, that the America's going to go in and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, because if it's not true, pretty soon now, the fact that that stretch of water has been closed by the Iranians is going to hit the people of this country like a freight train. It's going to be horrendous. So in other words, if we get starved of oil because of the Strait of Hormuz, we better bloody well start drilling in the North Sea big time. And while we're at it, we better start fracking, because we are going to have to fall back on our own energy supplies. And if we don't, I mean, seriously, the results do not bear thinking about. It will be utter catastrophe, all on the back of this fool, this madman's virtue signalling about climate change. It is so frustrating to have a madman in such a position of power.
Yeah, there are, you can see what's going to happen. There are going to be food shortages. People are going to be in cold houses. There's going to be a kind of 3-day week. There are going to be power cuts. You can see it all. If you've got any idea of history over the last 50 years, you can see what's going to happen. But the terrible thing is, we're reliant on somebody else. Our destiny over the next few weeks and months, we're reliant on the USA. Now there is a special relationship. They are our cousins. They are our closest partners. But it's Donald Trump we're talking about here. And this idiot, I keep saying it, but it's true.
He is an idiot. This
fanatic is putting us in such a precarious situation. And again, I've said it before, the one thing that we do not want at the moment, because culturally and in terms of society, we are so fragile. What we do not want is some kind of economic breakdown, an economic recession, because that will push us over the edge. And I'm looking at this guy there, and he is completely divorced from reality. It's frightening.
He's the most dangerous. He's the most dangerous man in Britain, and certainly the most dangerous person in a cabinet full of dangerous ideologues. Let's talk about post-Brexit Britain. The Prime Minister, of course, tying us ever closer to the Brussels gang, betraying the Brexit vote. Disgraceful behaviour on the part of the Prime Minister, but he's tied us already to many of the EU's food regulations. I remember the days when the EU used to have rules on the straightness of bananas. This is the kind of insanity. They just want to regulate everything. You know that phrase, what is it? America innovates, China imitates, and Europe regulates. That's what we do. Anyway, with these new rules, this is not a joke.
No.
British marmalade, traditional British marmalade, something we, by the way, have given to the world, will have to be renamed citrus marmalade. That is a fact. That is not a joke. I mean, this sums up why we wanted to leave the EU.
It really does.
This red tape hell of the EU.
It's totally symbolic. Do you know what Nigel Farage needs to do? He really needs to fixate on this, and he really needs to impose, because it's about protecting our culture and our, it's only marmalade, but marmalade's important. It's British,
Yeah.
It reminds me of This Isn't Parody. It's hard to believe that this isn't parody, but we're actually playing out an old episode of Yes Minister here, where the EU in the series was stopping us calling sausages. We had to call them high fat offal tubes. Some viewers will remember it. With that parody, that's parody. This is reality.
What you eating there? What you got there? I've got a high-fat offal tube sandwich.
but that'll be the next thing. That's what we'll have to call the British banger. You know what I mean? So the point is, it's a betrayal, Kev, isn't it? It's a betrayal on every level, because I voted to leave in 2016 for a very simple reason. I wanted the keys to my own front door, and I wanted sovereignty, and I wanted to protect our culture, because I could see it going down this stupid, ridiculous route. And here we are in 2026, 10 years later, and we're in exactly the same place. All of the dangers are still there.
Yeah, this is the kind of red tape, the kind of nonsense that made the vast majority of people in Britain vote to leave this nonsensical club, the Brussels gang, and it's coming back. You won't be able to, folks, call it marmalade. You never call it citrus marmalade, because of Brussels, because of the EU. What do you think about that? 0344 499 1000. Philip, thank you so much. Have a very good Easter. Good to talk to you.
Kev.
Philip Kisley there, the excellent senior fellow at the New Culture Forum. Next up, we're going to talk to Ellie Reynolds. She is one of the victims of the rape gang scourge. We're going to get her take on the upcoming rape gang inquiry, which is just about to start. Well, it finally has started after the best part of a year. A lot of people don't trust it, and one of them is my next guest, and she is a victim. She's quit the whole business, the whole inquiry, because she was on the victims panel, and she's quit because she doesn't trust it. Let's talk to Ellie Reynolds next. Stay where you are.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. I want to talk about the rape gang inquiry. There's a woman called Baroness Anne Longfield. She's going to be the chairwoman, I guess I should say. And frankly, a lot of people don't trust this. The Labour government have never really wanted this inquiry. They've been forced into it, kicking and screaming. Keir Starmer announced it last June, early June. So it's been the best part of a year for them actually to get the damn thing going. What is it going to achieve? Do the victims trust it? Well, my next guest, I think, is one victim who does not. She is Ellie Reynolds, and I welcome her to the show now. Hello, Ellie.
Hi, you all right?
I'm good. Well, look, you were on the victims panel, and you and Fiona Goddard and I think Elizabeth, you all quit because you don't trust this inquiry. That was way before it even started. I think you still don't trust it. Why don't you trust it, Ellie?
I mean, on the victims panel was a shambles on its own. Obviously, we left for reasons that we've discussed before. It was patronising, the way that they kind of set the tone as to how we should think, how we should speak, what we should explain. It was concerning from the start. You could see that it was going very corrupt. I've met with Baroness Anne Longfield. I met her at Maggie Oliver's panel last month, I think it was now. I still have my reservations on her. There's some questions that she can't answer, not because she doesn't want to, but I feel like she's backed into a corner a little bit.
Let me stop you there for a second, Ellie. What are the questions you have to ask about? She's a former Children's Commissioner, of course. What are your reservations about Anne Longfield?
I mean, for one, I asked if she had any association with any politics, which she swore blind that she didn't. Later to find out down the line that she was all for Labour.
She was a Labour, wasn't she a Labour MP at one point or something?
Yeah, I was told that she was a Labour activist as well.
Yeah.
And then considering that she's a Children's Commissioner, I also asked, one of my first questions to Baroness Anne Longfield was, do you feel like Jess Phillips, as a safeguarding minister for our country, do you feel like she fulfills her role? Oh, well, I don't want to answer that. I don't want to get involved with that. I said, then already you're not in favour of the survivors, because anybody could see Jess Phillips cannot fulfil her role.
Yeah.
It seemed like she was trying to sell the dream. Now, I hope that she does stick to what she says she's going to. Do I have doubt? Of course I do.
Yeah, I got that slightly wrong, that Baroness Longfield, Anne Longfield, she wasn't a Labour MP, but she's a Labour peer. She's in the House of Lords for the Labour Party. You know, there you have it. Political bias?
I mean, I think so. Look at how the country's going under a Labour government. We're knackered.
Well,
I think all the time.
I agree with that.
I think all the time that we've got a Labour government, we're knackered. Keir Starmer still hasn't answered our letter from months ago. You know, I don't feel like she really is going to stick to her promises. I don't.
Remind us what your letter to Keir Starmer said. What did you ask the Prime Minister?
I asked the Prime Minister to sit down and listen to our stories. You know, we could all air our opinions in that room. We could all share our stories and what we'd been through. It's point blank just ignored. It's
just you never got a reply.
No, we didn't. Not after the first letter.
It's unbelievable. And you do not hold the Women's Safety Minister, Jess Phillips, in high regard either, do you?
No. Absolutely not. I mean, I feel like she should be stripped. I've seen her laughing in the House of Commons. I've seen her sat there and call me and Fiona liars. I don't feel like she gives a damn about our children. Really, in a role like that, you should be really passionate about our future, passionate about our future generations, and I just don't feel like she's got that passion.
Yeah, and all the way through this, while in this long, torturous process of coming to the point of this inquiry finally starting, there are all these people they put up to be the chairperson of it, and they were sort of proposing, weren't they, like former coppers and former social workers. Now, these were the people that were the problem in the first place. These were the people that were turning their backs and ignoring the fact that people like you were being tortured and victimised by rape gangs. So, you know, that's why you and Fiona and Elizabeth and the victims panel have quit, because they don't seem to get it. These are exactly the kind of people that you didn't want to be the chair people of this inquiry.
Exactly, and rightly so. I mean, when we lack that much faith in systems, social services, police forces, schools, mental health teams, how they thought that us sitting in front of a chair that was meant to be a copper or a social worker was going to be successful, I've no idea.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, what would you be looking for? Actually, Ellie, just quickly, just for the people who haven't encountered you before, you've been on the show several times, so a lot of people will know your story. But quickly summarise your story for those who don't know it.
Yeah, so I'm a survivor of a rape gang from 2013 until 2018. I was heavily failed by police, social services, schools. I was subjected to a lot of abuse. One of my abusers is serving a life sentence, and my case is currently reopened.
And as I always say, you are an example that proves, because the kind of general consensus, the general feeling is, oh, all these victims, these vulnerable white girls, they were all, you know, from broken homes, they're all from sink estates and, you know, drinking and taking drugs and all that. But, that, you know, you prove that that's not the case. You come from a loving home, you're a good pupil at school, but you got kind of groomed and sucked into that dreadful situation, right?
Yeah, I think there's a huge stigma around things like this, that, you know, the only victims in this are from, as you say, like care homes and addiction backgrounds, and it is just not the case. Like you say, I came from a really great family. I loved school, my education, and my life only slipped the minute that I became involved with them.
Yeah, and tell me again why you felt, when you and Fiona and Elizabeth quit the victims panel, why you felt you were being patronised. In what way were they patronising you?
So we had a lot of restrictions considering it was meant to be so open.
Really? Restrictions?
You know, we weren't allowed to seek support from any family members or any friends. We had to go through Saba Kaiser, she was called, from NWG Network. We had to go to her if we needed that support. We weren't allowed to talk to any of our personal support network. And as a survivor, you're very selective with who you trust. So that was obviously, you know, a huge concern. Nobody was even allowed in my house when I was on these Teams meetings. You know, they offered to pay for childcare. They asked if people could leave the house, if I could go somewhere. It was the same for all of us as well. And I think the way that they kept us sucked in was, you know, many people know that survivors come out of the other side with mental health issues. I suffer with complex PTSD. So they were paying £50 an hour.
But they weren't, basically, from what you're telling me there, they just weren't really trusting you.
No, I mean, it wasn't... They weren't really trusting us, and it almost seemed like they were trying to script us as well.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
we weren't allowed to.
interesting.
We weren't allowed to mention the ethnicity of our abusers.
What?
Why not?
Say that again? You were not
We weren't
allowed to...
No,
Say
we
that
weren't
again.
allowed to mention the ethnicity of our abusers.
And
Why?
the ethnicity of your abusers, they were Muslim men of Pakistani origin, right?
Yeah, my abusers were Muslim men. I think three are Bangladeshi.
Okay.
But I don't understand why we were. If it was a white man, would we be allowed to say it?
Yeah,
You know, it didn't make any sense. And then Saba Kaiser, from NWG Network, that was kind of like head of the panel. It was Saba and the Home Office. Saba had wrote an article quite a few years ago, and I think it's worth people looking into that article because I don't understand how she managed to run a panel.
I just think it's extraordinary. I mean, this Anne Longfield, she has said that she will not shy away from confronting the issue of the ethnicity of the rape gang members. But what you're just telling me is that's exactly what they were trying to do, which is why you quit. That's extraordinary, Ellie.
Yeah, not only that, that's why we quit, because I don't feel like that was fair. And Anne Longfield's okay saying this, and I really hope she does stick to it.
Yeah,
I hope that she shocks everybody.
Yeah.
However, she might personally feel like that, but how quick is she going to get drawn under the thumb
Yeah,
to be silenced too?
Exactly right, exactly right. Well, listen, Ellie, it's great to talk to you. I don't know if I'm talking out of school here, but let's finish on a happy note, because obviously, you know, you're traumatised by what happened to you, but, you know, you and I have become friends, and what is inspiring is the way that you have rebuilt your life. You've not let it defeat you. You've not let it crush you. You got a very happy relationship. I think you got 3 kids, and hey ho, you just got married last weekend, right? Go on, tell us all about that. Go on.
I did. It was beautiful. It was a Catholic church setting. It was stunning. The church was really beautiful. You know, all the family looked lovely. It was just amazing, and I think it is a good thing to highlight how, you know, people that have been through such horrendous abuse, they can rebuild their life, they can do it. You know, I've hit the jackpot really with where I am. I've just applied to be an MP as well, so my local town's going to love that.
Oh, well, they should vote you. They should definitely vote you in. Well, listen, next time you're down in town, I'll buy you some champagne. And seriously, congratulations on your wedding. And thanks very much for talking to me, Ellie, once again.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. Take care now. Ellie Reynolds there, grooming rape gang survivor. Extraordinary story, isn't it? What about that? What about that? So they recruit Ellie and Fiona Goddard, a girl called Elizabeth. There's about 6 or 7 of them. They call them the victims panel. Ellie's never told me that before. They told them that they were not allowed to refer to the ethnicity of the men who raped them. And the ethnicity was, well, basically they were Muslims. Most of them were of Pakistani descent, but Ellie just saying that some of hers were of Bangladeshi descent. No, you can't mention the ethnicity. That's the whole damn problem in the first place, isn't it? That's what happened. There are said to be 250,000 victims, mostly young, vulnerable white girls, many of them underage, of this scourge, this national scourge of the rape gangs. It's still going on, and the reason that the authorities, that the police social workers, local politicians, teachers, local authorities. The reason they all turned their backs, they knew it was going on. The reason they didn't do anything was because if they pointed the finger, they feared they might be accused of racism and Islamophobia. They prioritised their fear of being labelled racists over the welfare of the young and vulnerable victims of the rape gangs. And that, folks, is the nature, the essence of this scandal. And there we have it. Ellie Reynolds was part of this inquiry, and they told her, don't mention the ethnicity of the men who raped you. I hope that inquiry has abandoned that line of thought, but if it hasn't, we're getting nowhere. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. We're going to do the sport next with Mike Amstead from The Sun. We might get him to try a few Easter eggs as well. So that next, stay tuned.
Good morning to you. This is Tour de Home of Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Just breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. Not just that the police have arrived at the Sandringham estate where Prince Andrew, as was now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently living since being thrown out of the Windsor estate. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation. And certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files as released in the last few weeks. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Mike Amstead from Sun Sport is in the studio. We're going to go through some of the sport, but he's got a very important... welcome, Mike, by the way. He's got a very important task. We're going to go through the first of our Easter eggs here. We've got bits of Easter eggs here. These are from four Easter eggs. Yeah. We've got we've got 4 Easter eggs here. And Mike is going to see if he can work out which is the most expensive. One of them, I believe, is from this. This is the Hotel Chocolat Ostrich egg, and this is 90 quid. That's somewhere here. We'll see if we can work out. Well, before we get to the sport.
We don't get 90 quid Easter eggs on Sun Sport.
I know you don't.
It's a different world.
You come up in the world.
Certainly.
Well, let's try this intriguing looking bit. This bit. This big
okay.
Bit,
Yeah,
right?
that's very nice. Yeah.
That is good, actually. Isn't it? I like that. So
Yeah,
this is it's got little bit white bits all over it. Okay. Okay.
Am I giving these a rating as I go along, or is just keeping it to the end?
We'll both give that a good rating, but would you? Okay. Right. Okay. Well, let's do the other bit. This is another bit. This is a fairly.
Do these crumble more than Liverpool's defence, or?
See, he's getting some sporting references here. That seems like more standard issue milk chocolate. Which would you say out of these two? So we just ate that one.
That's a bit Fulham, that last one, isn't it? I'd say this is more.
Fulham.
This is more Man City, the first one. A bit more class about it, a bit more edge.
Yeah. We're going to have to get Sophie, our AP, in a minute to tell us which ones that we've got. Right, that's that bit. Here's this bit. Should we try that third one? Oh, that one's got a crunch.
Bit of honeycomb to it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a honeycomb one.
Oh yeah, I like that. Nice bit of texture in them.
Okay. And then the last one's got caramel all over it.
Yeah, this is a bit dangerous, this one.
Right, I would say.
Well, that's...
My bet. Right, Sophie, you've got to come in here. Sophie. Right, I'd say that this bit. Right, this is the most expensive, am I right? Yeah. What would you say is the second most expensive, mate?
That salted caramel one is, I think that's got a bit of punch about it.
This is the 90 quid one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the salted caramel? He thinks that's the second most expensive.
That is the second least expensive.
Here we go. We're doing well, aren't we?
More is more expensive.
I'm in the wrong game.
You are. I would say, I don't know if you get the crunchy one. That's the third most expensive.
That's the third.
Yeah.
That's a flat egg.
Okay, so that's a flat egg. Who's this one by?
That's a flat egg by Waitrose.
Okay. What's the caramel?
That's Aldi.
Aldi. Okay. Aldi caramel was the second most expensive.
Nice work by Aldi. I've got to say.
90 quid.
90 quid.
And the fourth one.
Tesco one.
Yeah, that was the Fulham one.
That's the Fulham one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
very
no, the Fulham one should be the £90 one in your posh new stand.
Yeah, exactly right. The season ticket there is a lot more than 90 quid. Yeah. Let's do a bit of sport, shall we?
Can we not stay on the eggs? This is irrelevant.
Thank you very much. He's a very good egg judge, isn't he? Right. Well, let's talk about Coventry. I like this story. They're playing Derby tonight. That won't quite seal their promotion, but it looks like Frank Lampard's going to take Coventry up to the Premier League.
I think so. Amazing, yeah. Look, all the EFL games taking place this afternoon, apart from Coventry Derby tonight. So a win for Frank Lampard, and they're definitely knocking on the door of the Premier League. I mean, it's an amazing story. You know, he struggled a little bit as a manager. He obviously went into the madhouse at Chelsea. Slightly lesser madhouse at Everton, didn't quite work, but he's done a great job there, and they are flying. Another win tonight. But what's interesting is the team in second position is Millwall.
They just beat Middlesbrough at Middlesbrough.
Massive win at Middlesbrough today, who were in second spots. They've now leapfrogged them. Alex Neil has got them playing some great football, really grinding out the wins. And look, I mean, they've not been in the top flight since 1990. Yeah. Never been in the Premier League during what is the Premier League era. But I suppose if you're a Millwall fan, look, they've potentially got 7 London derbies next season, but they might not face Tottenham or West Ham if one of those goes down to the Championship, high-fiving them on the way up, potentially.
Blimey. Memo to Premier League team fans. Look out, here comes Millwall. OK, well, fascinating times there. Alisson, the goalkeeper, Brazilian goalkeeper at Liverpool, he's out.
Yeah, this big blow for Liverpool. Looks like he's out for the next month. He's got 4 massive games. So it starts with Man City in FA Cup tomorrow. Probably Liverpool's last realistic chance of winning a big trophy. Yes, they are in the Champions League. They've got a double header against PSG, very much the outsiders. And they're obviously trying to still claw back a Champions League spot in the league, which is tough. They're in the mix with Chelsea. Probably should mention Brentford as well at this stage. So not having him is a big problem. That's a real big problem.
What's this one about? Fernandes banned by Chelsea. Chelsea vice captain axed by the club for flirting with Real Madrid.
Forgive the pun, but this is an extraordinary story, Kev. So look, this is a £100 million footballer, Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah.
Who
this is amazing.
has got a habit of doing interviews when he's not with Chelsea, often on international break. We've had another one recently. Yeah. And often he's non-committal about his future, and people ask him, would you like to play for Real Madrid? And of course I would, because Spain's nice and hot, and you know they're a big team, etc, etc. Fair play to Chelsea. This is a £100 million footballer that come out and said, you're banned. We're banning you for 2 games.
They've dropped him for 2 games.
The easy thing to do would be, we'll ban you for 1 game, and everyone points out, oh, we only play in Port Vale, they're bottom of League One.
Yeah.
You can play your reserves anyway. The next game after that is Man City, and as I mentioned with Liverpool, Chelsea in the mix for these Champions League places. Liam Rossini is fighting to justify his job. And he's just
so Fernandes won't be playing against Man City?
Yep, taking him out the firing line. He also considered Marc Cucurella, because Cucurella did another interview. He wasn't flirting with other teams, but he was saying, look, our transfer policy is all wrong. We've got too many inexperienced players. That's why we got thrashed by PSG in Champions League. Rossini said, I'm not banning you, and sort of justified by saying, actually, I could see where that was coming from. That was coming from the heart. You want this club to be better, etc, etc. But this news about Fernandes is stunning. Look, this guy up until recently was the British record signing.
Yeah, so what's Rossini trying to achieve here? Just to show that he is in control, I suppose.
I think you're absolutely on the money. I think Liam Rossini is in a bit of a pickle here. A lot of the Chelsea fans aren't having him. In these situations, you go, well, look, do I just go with the players and let the player power take over and basically realise I'm just a puppet? No, I'm going to stand up to this. This isn't what I want to be or what the club want to be. He is getting sidelined for a couple of games. So it's a massive move. If they end up, they should beat Port Vale tomorrow. It'd be a huge shock if they didn't.
If they lost.
Well, it'd be hilarious if they lost. Absolutely hilarious. But you know, if they lose against Man City in a week's time and it's all down to the midfield battle and there's a gaping hole where you should be playing, well, you know.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I quite approve of it. But I don't suppose Chelsea will lose against Port Vale, but if they lose against Man City and Fernandes isn't playing, that will not be a happy day for Rossini. No,
absolutely not. I mean, that guy's under a lot of pressure. Like I say, a large part of the fan group don't want him there. They just see him as a kind of club puppet because he was brought in from their sister club, Strasbourg. He's had all the David Brent memes going around because he speaks like he's quoting directly from his LinkedIn account.
Yeah.
But fair play to him. He's put his foot down on this, stood up for it, what he believes in. So got to see how it unfolds over the next week or so.
What are the semi-finals this weekend? Remind me?
So the semi-final, obviously the big one of the weekend is West Ham at home to Leeds. So that's the absolute.
So that's a guaranteed win for Leeds.
Oh, come on. So no, we've got City versus Liverpool tomorrow lunchtime. That's a humdinger for both clubs. They could both do with the trophy this season with what's going on. Then you got Chelsea Port Vale, and the late game is Southampton at home to Arsenal. So Arsenal, who were on track for the quad, lost the Carabao Cup final. They'll probably end up keeping Kepa in goal for this, so he might throw another one in.
Great weekend of football coming up. And Mike, well done with the Easter eggs. You can take those with you. Seriously, you've got thousands out there. If you want to grab hold of one, please do. Mike Amstead with the Sun Sports. Stay where you are. Much still to come.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In a little while, we're going to have a look at this incredible video of Tiger Woods, you know, the legendary golfer, when he was arrested last week, the weekend, near his home in Jupiter Island, a very exclusive area of Florida. In the middle of it, I mean, you know, to be honest with you, he's been charged with DUI, driving under the influence. He had a couple of very super strong painkillers in his pocket. And to be fair, he's had a lot of surgery. He does live in pain, so he does have to take painkillers. But to be honest with you, he's quite clearly in quite a state. And in the middle of the arrest, where he's going, I'm getting arrested. He goes, yeah, you're getting arrested. He said, I'm calling the president. And he did call Donald Trump in the middle of this. Donald Trump, all-powerful, of course, but there's not much he can do in those circumstances. But the state of Tiger Woods is worth taking a look at. You know, I think it's fair to say, I don't want to prejudge an American legal case, but I think it's fair to say he was in no fit state to be driving. You know, it's very obvious. No alcohol. He took an alcohol test completely. No, 0-0. No alcohol in his system at all. But he went on to refuse a urine test, which could potentially have revealed drugs in his system. I wonder why he refused to take that urine test. Super strong painkillers in his pocket. He's had problems like that before. I mean, he crashes his cars as a hobby. Does it like almost every year. So we will talk about that. We'll play you that video and talk about it a little later. But for the next 20 minutes or so, let's go through some of the big stories of the day with the Director of Popular Conservatism, Mark Littlewood. Hello, Mark.
Great to be with you.
Very happy Easter to you.
And to you. We can say it to each other even if the King can't say it to us, right?
I'm glad that you began our conversation in that way, because that's exactly what I want to ask you first. For me, it's the big story of the day. A year ago, the King did deliver to the nation, to us, a Christian message at Easter. This year he's decided not to. And no one can quite work out why. I would suggest that this year, far more than last year, the nation is in a precarious state. The world is in a precarious state. We are on the cusp, potentially, of the worst oil shortage mankind has ever known. People are struggling. People are nervous. People are tense. A Easter message from the King, I think, would have gone down a treat. But he's decided not to deliver one. I don't know why. However, in February, he did deliver a message to the Muslim community, a message for Ramadan, wishing them all the best for this very special time. The day he delivered that message happened to be Shrove Tuesday, a Christian festival. Didn't mention that. I believe, you know, I've got a great deal of respect for the King. I think he's basically a decent guy. I'm not entirely keen on his approach to climate change, green issues. I think he's a little bit woke. I think if he was a normal citizen, he's the kind of guy that would probably vote Lib Dem. But I think he's a decent man with a good sense of duty. I do think he loves the people of this country. But I would say, that him not delivering an Easter message to the people of this country this year is an egregious mistake. It's a terrible, terrible mistake. Your thoughts, Mark?
So I agree with that. And I mean, it's important to point out, Kev, isn't it, that, you know, he needs to be the king for all of the United Kingdom, but he is the head of the Church of England, right? He doesn't, as far as I'm aware, hold any official position or any senior position within any other religion or any other religious order, but he is the head of the Church of England. So you would have thought, wouldn't you, that on the most important festival, I would think for Christians, that Easter is rather more important than Christmas, that some sort of statement would be issued. And the problem you get into, as you rightly pointed out, is if you don't do it, then comparisons are made with Ramadan. So let's just get this straight. I think the head of the Church of England should unambiguously issue festive greetings each and every time there is an important Christian festival. It's absolutely extraordinary. It would be like the Royal British Legion not recognising Remembrance Day, for example.
That's a good analogy. I mean,
it's just completely absurd.
But Buckingham Palace was saying, well, look, the late Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, did deliver Easter messages, but not every year. So they're sort of saying the King is continuing in that tradition. He did deliver us a message last year, but he has decided not to this year. Now, this is a king who, when he was crowned, the coronation, he demanded that the script was changed, that he was not the leader of the faith, he was the leader of the faiths, in the plural. He wants to be the leader of all the religions in this country. Well, he's not. He's just not. He is the official head of the official state religion of this country, which is the Church of England, which last time I checked is a Christian religion. Now, I don't mind. I have no problem with him wishing Muslims all the best at Ramadan and Eid or any other faith at their very special times of year. But excluding Christians, that starts to look a little bit suspicious. And when people worry about the Islamification of this country, this is the sort of thing that fuels those concerns, isn't it?
Yes, and I think also it's not just about the comparison with Islam, as you pointed out, Kev, at the top of the hour. I think people feel that the national fabric of the United Kingdom is beginning to fray at the edges, maybe a bit worse than that, and are looking for a bit of leadership and guidance that's simpatico to Britain's traditions, to our country, to our history, to our culture. And we are a Christian country. That doesn't mean that we're not welcoming to non-believers or other believers. Of course you can be. But what's odd here is they haven't really explained the protocol, right, Kevin? So you're sort of saying, well, sometimes they deliver an Easter message, sometimes they don't. How's that decided? Toss of a coin? I mean, what determines it? And you would have thought if it's judgment that 2026 would be a year where, you know, the UK is under the cosh, dangerous, troubled times, quite a lot of people nervous. If it was actually judgment that decided whether you issued an Easter message, that you would tick the box for 2026. So it must be some other process I haven't thought of, because it seems a very strange omission indeed.
Yeah, this is his Maundy Thursday message to the nation last year, when he decided he would give us an Easter message. This is what he said. On Maundy Thursday, Jesus knelt and washed the feet of many of those who would abandon him. His humble action was a token of his love that knew no bounds or boundaries and is central to Christian belief. So far, so good. He then went on to say, the love he showed when he walked the earth reflected the Jewish ethic of caring for the stranger and those in need, a deep human instinct echoed in Islam and other religious traditions and in the hearts of those who seek the good of others. Again, I don't know why he goes out of his way when delivering an Easter message to mention Judaism and Islam.
So did he say, Kev, when in Ramadan's message, did he say, you know, wishing Ramadan Eid, you know, and wishing good luck to all Muslims, but bear in mind Islam is basically only a sequel to Christianity? Is that what he said in his message?
He didn't say that, Mark, funnily enough.
So he didn't reference any Christianity in his message around an Islamic festival. Yeah. So why reference other religions? I mean, it just seems to me this is so easy to get right, okay? He doesn't need to do very much. Buckingham Palace has a Twitter account, I presume. You can simply, in a sentence, note that it is the festival and wish Christians in the UK and all over the world a very happy Easter. It just seems so easy to get right, and they've tied themselves in knots, and by doing that, got it rather wrong.
Well, we got Rudy Giuliano's been talking to Piers Morgan on Piers Morgan Uncensored. And in terms of the Islamification of Britain, this is a view of an outsider, an American. Listen to this.
I have people from England telling me you're going to be a Muslim country in 10 years. I mean, the Anglican Church, the Roman Catholic Church is bigger in England now than the Anglican Church, and Charles III might be the Muslim monarch of England. I mean, they're taking over. And they want to take over, and it's their aim. And Iran is the fuel behind that.
I mean, I'm not sure I take it quite as far as Rudy, but I do think there is this sense, Mark, that King Charles rather likes the idea of being the Muslim monarch.
Yes, well, certainly it's all about. I think it's difficult, Kevin, isn't it? And it's a little unfair to speculate on his ideological motivations. But he does seem to be extremely keen on widespread diversity. I think he would sign up to this sort of diversity as our greatest strength, which I feel is just.
He has actually said that. Diversity is our strength. Hey, Your Majesty, I've got bad news for you. It isn't.
It isn't. I mean, and the odd thing about those who beat that particular drum is even if you like a bit of diversity, which I do, I don't want us to be an entirely white country that only eats fish and chips and everyone is a member of the C of E. But the idea that diversity is our greatest strength, no, it's not. It would be as strange to say that our greatest strength is marmalade. Even if you like marmalade, it's not the greatest strength for the country, is it? So I actually think we've got to just get back to a few sort of core values about Britain, about our culture, about our history, and be welcoming to others within that context, but never to forget that context. And it reminds me a bit of that old quote that a liberal sometimes can be somebody who is so open-minded they can keep nothing in. And that seems to be the sort of liberalism that we might be practicing at the highest levels of the state. So, look, come one, come all. We can tolerate other religions, but I think within Britain, we expect people who come here and want to make their lives here that they should lean in and accommodate us rather more than we lean in and accommodate them. Yeah. And I think we've got that equation really rather badly wrong in recent years.
Yeah, I'm with you. I approve of diversity. I approve of multiculturalism, but we're getting it all wrong. Diversity could be our strength, but the way we're playing our cards, it has become our great weakness. In other words, we're subjugating our culture to all the people that we allow to live here, and that ain't right. Now, you're on fire today, Mark, because you keep setting me up perfectly, because you just mentioned marmalade, which brings me on to this extraordinary story that, that old Keir Starmer, I mean, basically wants us to rejoin the EU in all but name, probably wants to do it in name. So he's already signed us up, he's tied us to these EU food regulations that we actually divorced ourselves from, but he's tied us back into them. This will result, this is not a joke, sounds like April Fool's, but we're 2 days too late for that. This will result in the fact that we will not be able to call British marmalade marmalade. We will have to call it citrus marmalade. This is classic EU rules and regulation, red tape gone mad. Do you remember the days when they used to have rules and regulation on the straightness of some bananas? They couldn't be too bent. So here we are again. So seriously, Keir Starmer has signed us up to the Brussels gang, and they are going to make us only call marmalade citrus marmalade. To hell with that.
I mean, I think it's even worse than you say, Kevin, right? Because it's an irritation. But nevertheless, the claim here is that the government, morning, noon and night, is scouring ways in which we might be able to bring some economic growth to the economy, that we want growth back in the economy, we want to see productivity go up. And the solution they have stumbled on is not to cut regulation, it's not to reduce tax, it's not to try and get off the back of entrepreneurs. No, their growth strategy is that we're going to relabel marmalade. That is the centrepiece of our strategy to grow GDP in the United Kingdom, isn't it? I mean, it's just ludicrous. It's trolling, and it doesn't help anything at all. It just irritates, basically. I'm all for free trade, and it is true that if you leave a particular trading bloc, you can get some friction afterwards once you've divorced that trading bloc. But what we should be doing as a country is looking at countries similar to ours, like the EU, like the United States of America, Canada, Australia, and say, can we just agree that basically if a product is legal in your country, it's okay in ours? I'm happy to trust European medicine, American foods, and I would hope they would do likewise.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean you need to be bound by the rules. So it's ludicrous. But this is the only growth strategy they've been able to come up with. Laser focused on growth, they told us. They're not. They're just laser focused on marmalade labelling, which is not going to make any progress whatsoever for anyone in the economy, least of all marmalade producers.
It's absolutely, well, it's terrifying. Talking of which, a final word from you, if you will, Mark. Ed Miliband, there's a story going around today that he's been forced to climb down on drilling for gas in the Jackdaw field of the North Sea. We will now be able to continue doing that because he said that doesn't clash with my commitment to the climate change emergency. It does, actually. He's lying again, but I think even the Prime Minister has said, come on, Ed, we've got to buckle a little bit here. We've got to compromise a little bit. Well, but he was breaking news today. He, while saying, yeah, OK, Jackdaw, yes, he has really put his foot down about the other big oil and gas field out there. That is called Rosebank, the Rosebank gas field. That's the biggest one out there. And he's absolutely put his foot down and said, no, 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 we will not be drilling there. Now, we've got the Strait of Hormuz. Hopefully the Americans will take action to open that over the weekend. It has been mooted they might do that. But if they don't, and the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, we have got an energy crisis coming our way like a freight train, the worst energy crisis the world and this country will ever have endured. And we need to use use our own energy. We need to use North Sea oil and gas. We need to drill Rosebank very urgently, as well as Jackdaw, and also we might as well get fracking as well. Ed Miliband, no, no, no. He says if we even touch Rosebank, that will be climate vandalism. This man gets more dangerous by the day.
Exactly. So there is, I think we need to acknowledge a very modest concession here, isn't there, Kevin, that someone somewhere in the government told Ed Miliband that planet Earth was calling and he had to make an appointment with reality. Unfortunately, that appointment with reality didn't go especially well. Reality only won a small and minor concession. And the whole problem here with the energy thing, I'm very fond of Warren Buffett's famous maxim, which is applicable to a large number of situations, but particularly applicable to this one. When the tide goes out, you see who's swimming naked. So when you get an energy crisis, it exposes bad energy policies in a given country or a given area or a given domain, which you might get away with if times are fine. It's when times are tough that's difficult. So this is a modest concession, but it has obviously only been, squeezed out of him under resistance. And if we continue to have an energy secretary who is going to set himself against reality and instead in favour of his ludicrous net zero target, economic unilateral disarmament, basically, then all right, one concession at a time. But I'm with you, Kevin. Well, let's go for the whole lot. There is no point in keeping these resources in the ground. They are valuable. They are viable. The private sector wants to spend the money getting them. And it's Ed Miliband who's standing in the way. That's not just bad for energy security, it's just stupid economics. So let's just look at the government plan over the last couple of days. It's, in order to bring growth into the economy, we're not really going to drill for all of our natural resources. We're going to relabel marmalade instead. Well, that is not a solution or a strategy for economic growth and prosperity in Britain, not in my book anyway.
We're in the hands of crazed ideologues. We need pragmatism now. We need compromise, and this government don't seem to be capable of that. They double down on their sixth form activism more and more, and it's very worrying. Mark, good to talk to you. All the best for Easter. Director of Popular Conservatism, Mark Littlewood there. Let's go to break. When we come back, I'm going to show you this Tiger Woods video. We'll play all of it to you because it's quite a sight. And we'll have a little discussion about it, and then we're going to take your calls, and then assistant producer Sophie will be in the studio to stuff her face with Easter eggs and tell us all about them. So lots still to come, folks. You better stay tuned.
Good morning to you. This is Tour de Home Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Just breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. Not just that the police have arrived at the Sandringham estate where Prince Andrew, as was now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently living since being thrown out of the Windsor estate. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation. And certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files was released in the last few weeks. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's like working in a sweet shop in here. I've got thousands of Easter eggs here. Sophie, assistant producer, will be in a little while to eat them all, and we'll go through some of them. And we'll identify the ones. I've got the bit here. This is the very expensive £90 one. We'll show you that one. Anyway, let's go back to some proper news, shall we? Tiger Woods, as you saw at the weekend, he got arrested. He rolled his, it was a BMW, his four-wheeler. He's driving around Jupiter Island where he lives, very exclusive area of Florida. And he clipped a trailer truck, rolled it over, and the cops turned up and they filmed him with their body cams, and he got arrested. And frankly, he's been charged with a DUI, driving under the influence. And frankly, you can see where they're coming from. He passed all the alcohol tests, but it looks like he's on some serious drugs. He had 2 painkillers in his pocket, very serious painkillers. In the middle of it, extraordinarily, he told the cops, "I'm being arrested." "Yeah, you're being arrested." And he said, "I'm calling the president." And he is friends with Donald Trump, and he did call the president in the middle of his arrest. Anyway, we just thought we'd play you the whole thing. You can make up your own mind. Was Tiger Woods out of it? Have a look at this.
Down my phone. Yeah, I was just talking to the president.
Okay, so Deputy Gideon requests that I respond here to conduct a DUI investigation on you, just to ensure that you're safe to operate the motor vehicle at the time of the crash, okay? Can you tell me what happened with the crash?
I was looking down on my phone.
Okay.
I already changed the radio station, and I hit.
Okay, right?
2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2
So at this time, I do believe your normal faculties are impaired, okay? And you're under the unknown substance, okay? So at this time, you're under arrest for DUI. Yes, sir.
Yeah, do you like that bit? I'm just talking to the president. That's one way of trying to get... Next time I get pulled up by the police, I'm going to say, just talking to Keir Starmer, you know. In the back of the car, you know, he's yawning away. And frankly, he was in a terrible state. We've got a strapline there saying drunken tiger. Sounds good, but he was not drunk. He definitely wasn't drunk, because he took a alcohol test and he got 0. But let's face it, he was on something there, wasn't he? Nick Faldo, the famous golfer, he said that the golfing world... Don't forget, that Tiger's always doing this. A few years back, he rolled his car in California, same kind of deal on painkillers. He's won 15 majors. He's 50 years old, 2-car rollover there. Nick Faldo says that the golf world will be predictably weak on this. He said, I feel sorry for Tiger. He's living 24/7 in pain. I asked him that years ago, even before the LA incident. That's Los Angeles 21, where he did the same thing, rolled his car. But he said, I asked him that years ago, even before the LA incident in 2021. But it's all been self-inflicted. There are two sides to this right now. There's one side that's like, let's care for Tiger. And then there has got to be a responsibility and an accountability side as well. This is a serious thing that he has done. The bottom line is, this is Nick Faldo, legendary British golfer. The bottom line is that I really think this is a serious issue and something should be done. That is a little bit more than waving him off to a tropical island and saying welcome back in 3 or 4 months, or whatever it might be. I think, you know, it's he says, I look at the PGA Tour statement. It was so predictably weak. The Tour will look after him, as they always have done, but there has to be some accountability. Forget about golf. We are not meant to be on the streets with 2 pills in our pocket. You compare it to other sports or businesses. If you were done for DUI a couple of times in your business, what happens? I've got a feeling that this will all disappear and he'll come back in a couple of months. Everything will carry on as normal. I'm not sure if that is right. It's not a good message to the kids of today. So Nick Faldo saying that this guy keeps doing this. You know, sympathy, Nick's right. Tiger Woods has had a lot of surgery. He lives in constant pain with his back. He does have to take serious painkillers, but clearly he shouldn't be taking them left, right and centre and then getting behind the wheel. We have to wait for the outcome of that court case, but that legal case. But I think you can see the kind of state he was in. But I love the bit at the beginning, don't you? Yeah, sorry, officer, just on the phone to the president there. Yeah, that didn't work, did it, Tiger? Even Donald can't get you off that hook. Let me know what you think about that. 03444 99 1000. Let's go to break. Got lots of calls, lots of messages to read out, and lots of Easter eggs. If you could see this just to the side of me, what have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Got about 12 massive Easter eggs. I'll make that 13. I've got another one over here. Well, Sophie will be in to eat them all in just a little while and give you her verdict, if she can sort of spare us the time while she's stuffing her face. We'll talk about that all in a minute. Stay where you are. Give us a call. 03444 99 1000. Back in a mo.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Sophie's in the studio. She's been spending the whole week getting these Easter eggs together, and she's surrounded by them. I got thousands of them. Look at that. I love this one, by the way. This is, if you look at, you know, when you get a sandwich from the supermarket like that. Well, this is Hotel Chocolate's Easter egg sandwich. How much is that one, Sophie?
That kind of comes to the 12 to 15 range.
12 to 15
on the
quid
more
for a
high
sarnie,
end
yeah, okay.
side of
Yeah, so there you go. It's good though, it's good. And you've got, of course, the great big one there. That's the...
This is our ostrich
the
egg.
Hotel Chocolate ostrich egg.
So this retails for £90 and it's 1 kilogram in weight. So you tried that
And
one.
you ate all of that just before the show?
Yeah, just before I came in here. I don't know how long it'll last.
No, seriously, so that's 90 quid, and then we've got the small one here. How much is that one?
That one's about 30, so
30.
you're kind of looking on the smaller end.
If you're watching Henrietta, this is yours. I'm taking this back for my wife.
The interesting thing about these ones is they're actually filled with smaller chocolates, and the small chocolates actually have a bit of alcohol in them, which might tip it over to the more
that'll be even
expensive
more of a
side.
hit with my wife. So there you are. Right, those ones we tried earlier. One of them was the. This is the caramelised biscuit.
Yeah.
That's Tesco.
So that's a caramelised biscuit one.
Yeah.
That one's going for 14 quid, and it's about 205 grams, I think. Whereas you actually have this Waitrose one here, which you tried a bit earlier.
Oh, there.
Yeah, and that's 960.
So, but that's flat. That's
this is a flat egg. It was something we got on the more interesting side.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still the same size as your regular Easter egg, but it's flat.
It looks good.
What difference it makes, we don't really know, but it was a hit earlier with when you and Mike tried it.
Yeah.
And you do have a bit of it on your plate there if you want to give it a go.
Which one? She's got them all labelled.
This one here.
This is a flat egg, yeah?
Yeah.
I was going to try that. That's good.
There's caramelised biscuit in that one.
What's this one I'm looking at here? This is the Belgium truffle-filled egg.
Yeah.
That looks like
so this is actually from Aldi.
Oh, okay.
And we were trying some of the Aldi ones. You had a filled Aldi one there.
Okay.
You had a Millionaire Overload egg.
I'm already beginning to feel rather sick, by the way.
They do go for about £10, and this is the cheaper range we have in.
Okay.
You will find on the packaging the Aldi sticker is very small on the side.
Okay.
Which, if I was Aldi, I'd be putting up big and centre because they're lovely. They're great.
And what's this one with
That's a Tesco pretzel egg. So that is going
look
for
at this
about
one.
14
I love
quid.
it. Look at this one. There's a Waitrose, the croissant, yeah?
So this is the viral Waitrose almond croissant egg.
And this is...
That's 15 quid.
15.
And if you're familiar with Easter egg
That's
talk,
amazing. Look at that. It's amazing what they do with these.
if you're familiar with Easter egg talk, you get eggs like this all the time. This is milk chocolate.
What the hell is this one? This is lips. This is Lulu Guinness milk chocolate lips.
But you know, Kevin,
Waitrose, yeah?
That's Waitrose. The interesting thing about this one, so we were very kindly sent eggs, Waitrose, Hotel Chocolat,
Yeah.
Aldi and Tesco.
Yeah, thank you to which shops have helped us out? Hotel
so
Chocolat.
Waitrose, Hotel Chocolat, Aldi and Tesco.
Thank you to all of you.
And this is only one of 2 milk chocolate samples that came in.
Okay.
So people are really looking for something, I think, a bit more complicated and over the top.
When you say milk, are you saying that people are going for dark
Just your
chocolate?
normal, regular milk chocolate. This is probably the only sample we got sent in was the Tesco Easter egg.
I'm all wired up here. I'm trying to get... I'm probably going to get disconnected here. We've done that one, haven't we?
Yeah, and then you have, which is very popular, you've your loaded eggs. That's a big trend this year. So half the egg is actually filled with solid chocolate.
Yeah, just absolutely
Yeah,
solid.
no one's happy with just the regular round egg anymore. They all want something
I mean,
inside.
when I was a kid, you used to get like... if you were lucky, there were a couple of sweets in the middle. It would just be like that.
Yeah,
and,
it's all got
round
very
trees.
complicated. All these have all the trimmings on them. There's no
They're
kind
really
of plain
getting
chocolate
spectacular,
anymore.
aren't they? And you were telling me, I think it's called Betty's or something.
Yeah,
They've come up
so
with an egg that's £390.
£395.
£395. My mistake.
No, this egg weighs 5 kilograms.
5 kilograms.
That's the size.
Well, for
of the baby.
£395. pounds. It should weigh about 3 tons, if you ask me. It should be coated in gold. But
and you do have to order that 2 weeks in advance if you would like to have it on time for Easter. So I think you missed the boat
missed
there.
it. Oh no! Oh, that's amazing, amazing. These are. Is that...
They come inside your ostrich egg, so they're the little treats.
Oh,
that
okay,
come
inside the ostrich egg,
inside.
and this is the.
That is your Easter egg hunt basket,
That's
which is your plain milk chocolate, which I actually think is almost your best value for money because you're going to get 350 grams for £6.
And what's this little thing?
That is Tesco Finest pistachio.
That's in the middle.
So the two trendiest.
Look at this. Look at this.
The two trendiest flavours are definitely pistachio, caramel, salted caramel. Seem to be all the
these
rage.
are great. Look at that. Amazing. Oh my God, this is the.
So that's your Aldi overfilled egg.
See, that one's sort of dripping with something or other.
Which you did
look,
guess.
There it goes. Look.
Yeah.
Look. Watch live.
You did guess earlier that was the second most expensive.
Okay.
Actually, one of the cheapest we got, and one of the nicest.
Yeah, very nice. Well, Sophie, fantastic work. And when the show's over, we're all going to disappear into the office, and we'll be like kids. We'll have all chocolate around our face. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sophie. Excellent work from her. Let's go to break. When we come back, got lots of calls, lots of messages. A lot of you very, very energised, very angry about the King's failing to deliver an Easter message to this country. What is he playing at? I think it's so wrong. Let me know. 0344 499 1000. Back in a minute.
Good morning to you. This is Tour de Home and Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Just breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. Not just that the police have arrived at the Sandringham estate where Prince Andrew, as was now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently living since being thrown out of the Windsor estate. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation. And certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files was released in the last few weeks. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm going to play you a couple of promos, as we call them in the business. First, for my show, What Just Happened. That'll be starting at 9 o'clock tonight. That's live here on Talk. And then after that, as of tomorrow morning at 9:30 onwards, you can watch it live anytime you want. Well, not live. You can watch it anytime you want on YouTube. It's radio friendly, so if you're not watching on TV, don't worry. But if you are watching on TV, it's all the more brilliant because you can see me in person. Here is a little taster of what you can expect in tonight's edition of What Just Happened.
I read a good article in The Atlantic about this, and it is true. It's that everyone used to have kids way younger, and now we're having kids older. But the issue is, when you live your 20s and you don't have kids, you see how amazing it is, and then you just decide, oh, actually, never mind, I'm okay, because no one had this life before kids beforehand.
So if I was women going, I'm 60, I'm not married, I haven't got any kids, I won the lottery!
Yeah.
That's me, Samara Gill, of course, and the brilliant Ash Gould. That's tonight, 9 o'clock, live here on Talk, and then tomorrow on YouTube, anytime you like. I've got a couple of messages here. Loads and loads of people very upset about the King. Nick, the King is an appalling individual who deep down hates everything to do with Britain. Much like our Prime Minister and equally vile Mayor. Those are Nick's opinions. You're very welcome to say what the hell you like on this channel. This is Best Friday feeling with Kev and Samara driving me home. Happy Easter, Kev. You too. Thank you very much. This is Lisa. I am furious and disgusted with the King. I'm now also terrified as all my fears about this country becoming a Muslim state have been confirmed. What the hell are we going to do to save our country? I was at my wit's end with Starmer and Sadiq, but this is the final show. Final straw. Love the show. That's Lisa from Bolton. Thank you, Lisa. I think a lot of people would agree with you. Samara is completely right there. Are questions to be asked. Why did he spend time with the Syrian president yesterday and then not make a message to the people of this country? This is Taff in Dover. I used to live in Dover. Good afternoon, Kev. As a veteran, I swore an oath to the Queen and her successors. I am very disappointed in the King and disgusted the head of the church cannot wish the country a happy Easter. Well said, Taff. I think a lot of people agree with you. Let's find out if my first caller does. Elizabeth in Chorley. Hello, Elizabeth. What's your take on the King failing to send us an Easter message?
Very much the same as the people that have texted and messaged you. It's a disgrace. And I can only think that the way they're going, if you want a President Blair, come and get it.
Yeah, my feeling about this is I absolutely don't mind him or approve of him wishing Muslims the best for Ramadan and Eid. I approve of him wishing Jews the best for their sacred ceremony, all religions, but don't exclude Christians.
The third in the row. It's the Christians, of which he is the head of the Christian church in Great Britain.
Yeah, and when he made a message to us last year, Elizabeth, it was all very happy Easter and all that, and in it, he had to sort of start saying how great Islam was as well.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I actually believe that he's a Muslim, and I think he has been for quite a long time.
The King's a Muslim, the Muslim monarch.
I do think that.
I'll tell you, you're not the first. I don't think he is, Elizabeth, but you are not the first.
I think he is.
You're not the first person who said that to me. You're not the first person who said that to me.
The coronation.
Yeah.
When it was his coronation, it looked like a cut price, bargain store coronation compared to Queen Elizabeth II's coronation.
Yeah, he wanted it a little bit pared down, to be fair.
Well, he might have. Why would he want it pared down?
because I think he thought he didn't want it to look too extravagant, too expensive.
Oh, really? Well, I don't think he's bothered about the show he's making about Muslims now, do you?
No, Elizabeth, I'm on your side. Don't worry, I'm with you. I'm with you. And you are talking. The fears you are talking about are being.
I've lost all faith in him, and I don't think the Prince of Wales, William, is going to cut the mustard in the future.
I think I don't know about that, Elizabeth, but I agree with you. I think the royal family are in deep crisis. They've made a lot of mistakes. They've got the Harry and Meghan problem. It's just not working out for them. They've got a mountain to climb.
And you know why they're in the state they're in?
Yeah.
Because they open the gobs when they shouldn't.
Yeah. The mystique of monarchy has been lost. You're absolutely right. Elizabeth, great call. Thank you very much. Call me again. Elizabeth in Chorley, not mincing her words. Is the king a Muslim? 034 for that. Look, the king is not a Muslim. I think we can say that. However, people do think that he shows too much favouritism towards Islam. Seems to be a bit obsessed about it. That is the worry. Let's talk to Simon in Basingstoke. Hi, Simon.
Yeah, hi, Kevin. I think the king is a very interesting example of a very common phenomena.
Yeah.
Someone who believes in nothing often admires people who have a strong faith or
interesting.
belief.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think, you know, our leaders, Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, Green, they have no belief in this country or if they're in France or Germany or elsewhere. And I think we can safely say that the elites of most of Europe are all the same, and they don't believe or care about the people in their country, and they have no emotional connection, no set of shared beliefs with the people they're ruling, and that always ends badly.
Yeah.
And I don't think this country will survive. I think we're going to be turned into a version of the Lebanon or, God forbid, what happened to Yugoslavia.
So you're worried, Simon, you believe Islamification is a real problem here?
I think it is, but then you also saw violence between the Pakistani community and the Indian community in this country when you had the brief tussle between India and Pakistan, and it's inevitable there'll be a war between those two countries, and you cannot import people from all over the world in vast numbers and not expect them to bring their issues and their rivalries with them. And that's what we've done here, and that's what we've done elsewhere in Europe. But what's going to happen is at some point this system will break down, and these people, the people responsible for it, will be held to account by the victors. Whether that's a restored Britain, which I really don't think is very likely, or a restored Germany or a restored France, or they'll be held accountable by the victors. They are sowing the seeds of their own destruction, and the sad fact is they're too stupid to realise it.
I agree with you, Simon. I think we seem to be going through a process of cultural suicide, that somehow or other we're ashamed of our own culture and we look up to other cultures, but demean our own. We do not respect our own culture. And the king, seems to have shown some kind of priority for Islam over Christianity, because he delivered messages for Ramadan and Eid, wishing the Muslim community all the best wishes, but didn't deliver a message to Christians wishing them all the best for Easter, which is strange.
Well, it's strange, Kevin, but then you have these shock comments from members of our political class saying, we don't understand why young people don't want to fight for their country. Well, we don't want to fight for they don't want to fight for Keir Starmer, and they don't want to fight for what this country's become. Germans don't want to fight for their country either.
That's it, Simon. That's exactly it. I think people are looking at this country and say, what are we? What is this country now? It seems to have lost its identity. It certainly seems to have lost its greatness. And this current government is just running us into the ground on all levels. Simon, really good call. Thank you very much. Please call again. Let's go to Michael in Birmingham. Hi, Michael.
Hi. Happy Easter.
And to you, mate.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't get me arrested.
You get you cancelled.
I saw loads of worshippers in Birmingham at lunchtime. The streets were absolutely full of them when I drove through. But I didn't see many women. Didn't see any women. I didn't see any crosses either. But I'll leave that one there for you to work out.
Yeah.
But this thing with Charles is absolutely reprehensible, and you know, I'm a Catholic, a Roman Catholic, and you know, he's not the head of my faith, so he forget that he's the head of.
But you're a Christian, and he's the head of a Christian religion, the Church of England. That's his official job, and he's not even wishing us a happy Easter.
Well, I mean, it's just disgraceful. I think it's the way it's going. I mean, you know, I'm a practicing Christian, and if you go in the workplace or even any public place and sort of like say you go to church, you get kind of sideways looks.
Yeah.
But if people say they're of another religion, when we all know which one I'm talking about, it's all
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
exactly
that's
right.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's lovely.
It's two-tier Britain. It's strange and it's disconcerting. Michael, I've got to move on, mate. But excellent call. Right. Please call me again, mate. Michael in Birmingham. Now, in about 7 minutes or so on YouTube, it's my show, my other show, Plank of the Week. Here's a little taster.
Well, we can forgive any organisation for having the occasional bad apple, but it seems the BBC's been growing an entire orchard full of them. This is again, it's Groundhog Day returns to Auntie, as yet another scandal has embroiled them, all variations on a theme. And this is, of course, is relating to Scott Mills, apparently a very famous celebrity. I'd never heard of the man until last week, I have to say, but I don't listen to Radio 2.
Well, we sure as hell have heard of him now. That's the brilliant Rafe Heidel-Mancu, part of the panel sitting next to Samara Gill. That's Plank of the Week, starts in about 6 minutes on YouTube. Please tune in. Now, in the meantime, let's go to our final call, I guess. This is Michael in Belfast. Michael, you saw Piers Morgan interviewing Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, who said that he feels that the way we're heading in 10 years' time, Britain will become a Muslim country with a Muslim monarch. What do you think?
Yeah, happy Easter to you, Kevin, and thank you for taking my call. Oh, yeah, well, Piers Morgan, what a buffoon he is, you know.
Never mind Piers. What do you think about, never mind about Piers, what do you think of what Giuliani...
Well, I think what Giuliani said was absolutely correct. And now we still have to remember that the Muslim population is still a small percentage of the overall UK population.
4 million.
Yeah. So, but the 4 million they're already dictating government policy.
Yeah, they are. Worry. They damn well. Much of Keir Starmer's policies are dictated by the 4 million Muslims because he so cravenly pursues their vote. You see.
And that's purely down, Kevin, to the logistics of the political system, where most constituencies are centred around cities, London, Birmingham, Manchester, and the Muslim populations live in cities. So you've got the rural areas, the Shires, Cornwall, Northumberland, the Lake District are totally disenfranchised in this political system.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're right. There are lots of rural areas don't think they're a part of all of this.
And I'll be quick here, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I've got the answer to this.
Oh, have you now? Go on.
Well, no, I'll tell you now quick, and this is the answer, and this is the only way forward, and this will make us happy, this will make the Muslims
Go on then,
happy.
Go on, what's the answer?
What we should do is first past the post. The election is first past the post.
Which they are now.
It's not voted in constituencies. Once you win that election, you can then nominate...
You mean the whole country, like the Brexit referendum?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. That is a very interesting idea.
Votes, everybody
so you don't have it down to constituencies. Yeah, interesting.
Exactly.
All right, Michael, listen, I've got to go because the show's nearly over. But very interesting call. Please give me a call next week. We'll have a proper chat. Michael in Belfast. Peter Cardwell's in the studio. Hi, Peter.
Hello, sir. Happy Easter to you.
Or can I call you Professor now? He's going to become a lecturer at City University.
I'm
He's going to teach about journalism. Poor thing.
I'm getting the leather patches
exactly.
put on my
and the corduroy jacket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, what's on your show, mate?
Well, there's just this horrendous story about the fighter pilot shot down in Iran, so we'll get the latest about that and what could happen.
Is that a definite?
I think. I mean, we from all the sources.
Do you think they're going to go in tomorrow? I think they might.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens. We'll get the latest on that. We'll also talk about this Marks and Spencer story about shoplifting and how bad that is, and actually what security guards can actually do these days, because it's fascinating. So many different retail outlets. I had a fascinating call yesterday from a guy who works in Co-op, and he said that it was a sackable offence to even say to someone, "Are you shoplifting? Have you paid for that?"
It's ridiculous. I mean, in some ways, I sympathise with the stores, saying, because they fear that if security guards or any other members of staff tackle these shoplifters, they might get wounded, they might get stabbed. So in some ways, it's nice of the shops, but there's something incredibly absurd about we have security guards who aren't allowed to stop shoplifters.
Well, and actually, Richard,